Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in a moment.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We sincerely appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line, and we'll be back in a moment.
Thanks for holding. We appreciate your time and patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for waiting. Your patience is appreciated. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
Wherever you go, you can listen to the news. You can sleep with the blues on this wonderful, wonderful station. Just take a lively companion wherever you go. Take a portable radio. Take a portable radio.
Now, here comes the music.
Well, it's a show that almost didn't get on the air, but we did. In spite of popular demand,
Whether you like it or not.
we are here. 20 minutes. We've actually just decided that Monty's going to be on time every show. We're just going to...
I hated starting without her.
Right. In fact, Al was way earlier than we thought he was going to be. I live here, and I was late. Cat was on time. Oh, heaven's sake. Well, hi, everybody. It's show 319. It's the 17th of October, 2017. We are here in Studio C. You're just in time.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah. In case you hate this part and you were trying to skip it, too bad.
Just in time. Oh, my heavens Actually, I've got our mics turned down because I didn't want to yell.
Oh.
So actually, when we bring them up, we're probably going to be fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my
So
God!
he
see?
was muting us.
I was even muting myself because if you'll recall, first show out of season 6, I scared the shit out of everybody.
True story.
Yeah,
True story.
scared everybody.
That's a good time.
Because apparently I also find out, technical friends sometimes are not always your friends. Apparently the soundboard has got a problem where it sounds a certain level here, way different in broadcast. So even though I think the music is low, just fucking blaring.
Just killing everybody out there.
Oh, I got you.
So apparently whenever
sound mixing.
Yeah,
One of my favorite categories in the Oscars.
of course. I don't
needs
have
to
it.
go on here.
No, it's possible if this wasn't defective.
Right. It needs to
Yes.
go on here. We need to
Yes,
up
we need to
our
have-
We need
sound
to-
mixing
We need
game.
to have it again.
Need to
So
encourage that practice.
Yeah.
so the next time
Finally find out what it is.
the next time we choose to take a hiatus of a few weeks, I will then do that. Because either I can send this one to be repaired or I can buy a new one. And I'm not sure which way is the cheaper way to go. We'll figure it out.
I just love how many fucking buttons are on that thing.
There's a lot. It's very busy.
There are.
I always feel better about the sound system at my house when I see that board.
Yeah.
Because it explains why I have rave level speakers in my living room of 3 feet by 3 feet.
Yeah, I would like everything to work again on this board, so we'll have to at some point, someday.
I'd like my neighbors to not start sending eviction notices when I watch horror
get it.
movies.
You can evict me, I own it. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. When we're worried that we're all going through an earthquake
Yeah.
because of your TV.
Because of a baseline that you're.
Because you're watching Jurassic Park again.
I'd like to say
oh.
that this was a thing in the past, but
No.
I didn't watch Jurassic Park. Whatever I watched the other night, even I was like, oh, okay. Like, let's find the subwoofer and maybe turn it down to 10.
Oh, what's it go up to? 10.
I swear to God, I think I found like 15 on that motherfucker.
Probably so.
Oh, it'll come to me what I was watching, but
Yeah.
I literally like jumped 10 feet back. I was like, oh my God.
Pre-show, for those of you who aren't able to hear that, only us in the studio obviously know about pre-show. We learned a couple valuable lessons. The most important one being that when you make coffee and somebody else has made coffee before you,
Make a note of this at home.
yeah, please write it down somewhere. It's good to change out the coffee grounds to new grounds because apparently, according to what Kat made, though it was in good spirits,
Oh,
Al
best
says
of
that she made a
intentions.
nice pot of tea because it wasn't up to coffee standards. But we resolved it. We're good. We're all,
I had my process backwards. It's all
Yeah.
about process, people. You have to if you have a good process, you're gonna have a good
she was
product.
she was trying.
Hints to live by.
Wow.
She was trying to. Joe, don't even dare try to talk to me about technical bullshit with the sound while we're on fucking air. Swear to God.
The best part is he's got the Bunomatic, my family's crack maker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
10,
in the-
10
Well, and
cups in
that's-
3 minutes.
And that's where I went wrong because I've got the Black & Decker where you can load it all up and then you have to hit go.
Then drill things later.
Yeah, no.
And sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Very busy.
But the Bunomatic, which is my family spent a good 6 years buying each other Christmas presents that made more coffee faster to keep up with the demand in
Which
the
is
house.
smart.
Just
Yeah.
take an IV.
Well, when you have that many grown-ups drinking pots of coffee, that little 5-pot, the
Yeah.
cups
Yeah.
got bigger, the people got bigger. It went wrong.
10 cups isn't going that far.
So,
It's 3
like-
people.
Everything got bigger. It was the 80s.
Yeah, my father was paying attention one day at a restaurant and noticed
Well,
a
yeah.
Bunomatic because they used to only be. Well, they are restaurant quality,
Right.
but they're made for restaurants.
Right.
Humans shouldn't need this creature.
Humans that live alone.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
shouldn't need this creature.
A diner?
So he was so excited about it because it makes a fresh pot in like
3 minutes.
3 minutes. It's craziness. You just gotta let
Yeah,
that
very,
that
very
thing,
fast.
the thing of water heat up in the back, and
Right.
even that heats up pretty quick and
It
gives
does.
you that ready
I've learned.
Real fast. As it turns out, faster than it takes to try and change the coffee filter.
You have no time. Once you pour that water, you are
know,
committed.
I-
That is done.
I
Now-
know this now.
I realized that the other clue that should have been there for you, but I realized you do things in a rush. Sitting next to the pot
was
was the second one filled with grounds that had not yet been made.
I saw it there. I identified it. I thought, well, gosh, I'm gonna
Pour the
rinse,
water in
I'm gonna
first.
rinse this out. I'm gonna put the water in. Then I'll change the thing. Then I'll hit the go button, and everything will be wonderful.
Now the
Bad
wonderful
process.
world of Bunomatics has been explained. Once
Yeah.
you pour water, that deal is set.
You know
the
what?
only next upgrade will be is when
deal
I
or no deal? Deal.
The only next upgrade to a coffee maker would be when I actually attach it to a live water line, so I don't have to fill it myself. It'll automatically fill.
Good dream.
Yeah.
Good dream.
That's it. That'll work out. What are you gonna add something to the?
I don't even know.
Who knows? Nobody's
At
sure.
this point, I don't know. Here's what I do want to add.
Hi, Mama Di.
New.
Marn, do you need this, Marn? Do you need that?
It's like I don't.
Do you have it?
I swear to God, I come into the studio every Tuesday, and it's like I don't eat like in the rest of the world.
Right.
And I come here, and I'm going apeshit over fucking corn nuts, and now I've added Smarties to the mix. So
Yeah.
a corn nut and a Smartie at the same time in your mouth is a delightful amount of.
I remember
salty.
in an early show, very early show, in our first
Sweet
studio,
and savory.
And our
We were a
first-
cooking show.
in the very
It's
first
delicious.
studio, Buddy Early had come in and he was running late for whatever, and he had to eat on the air, and he ate off to the side, and he was very cautious about, didn't want to make any noise.
Right.
It was also before video.
Right.
I noticed
That's the important part.
it doesn't matter at all. We could eat exactly right here on air. Doesn't in fact I have a bag of chips and salsa right here.
Phases me not at all.
We don't. It doesn't matter anymore. We just eat on the air.
Sorry, Molly.
Fuck. Who cares?
The only thing I do have to say in my defense is that when I listen back, I don't hear my crunching, because I've
Not unless we try really hard. Yeah, we don't hear a lot of crunching.
like because it's in my head.
Oh no, right. You
But
hear.
it does. I don't hear, but I'm also partially deaf.
The corn nuts are a little extreme on the crunch, though.
Yeah,
Like, there are more subtle foods that we could eat.
How these? There we go.
Now that I heard.
There you go.
That was lovely. That was
I feel like that's a commercial for freshness. On the border. Buy them today.
I have a
No.
feeling
Fiesta
Molly Montgomery
size.
will be calling any minute. She's going to hear you.
I wish her lots of luck.
I
Now-
feel like she has stopped listening because of this kind of behavior.
You think that's why she stopped listening? Why do most
Good,
people?
good,
Well,
she
good a
finds
reason
us
as any.
delightful people otherwise.
We lost one to the crunching. We lost one to the Confederate flag. You
The
can't have
Asians are
everything.
mad at us. Who cares? Come on. Oh heavens!
They hold a grudge. What'd you do this week?
Oh my gosh. I went to the lovely city of Salt Lake.
Yay!
I did.
I wish I had a sound effect for you, but I don't.
That was a lovely sound effect. That's why we have the bells. A cousin of mine was getting married, and I was given death threats by my aunt, her mother, about a year ago about you better fucking be there.
Ah.
Very nice.
So I did. I went, you know.
Your aunt's a religious woman, obviously.
Well, sure. Sure.
I'll fucking and you.
But no, it was
Right.
it was a lovely weekend of family fun and togetherness. We did like family photos that went hilariously wrong, and then we did the wedding thing, and then
That went hilariously wrong.
Hope not.
Maybe. Not.
well, had some issues. But,
Oh.
well, sure. No, but they're married and happy, and everything's wonderful. And
A
then
wedding
had
without a glitch makes me nervous.
right,
Something's got it. You know what I mean?
right.
What are you gonna
Something's-
talk about later?
Something's gotta
Gotta be some
a little
fun. There's
like,
gotta be some funny story. Something.
Right, like getting done with the wedding and just being exhausted and getting back to the hotel and realizing that you don't have any keys, and the hotel's kind of being a dick about letting you into your hotel room.
Oh.
Because clearly you've just been to your wedding, so you don't have any ID, you don't have any credit cards, you don't have your hotel key. Standing there in a wedding dress.
I think that's a more common story than we think.
A super common story. Yeah, I don't know why hotels don't have like a backup plan. For
Right,
that.
yeah. Take a picture of the happy couple as they go to the reception so that you know when they come back, they may not be all
Right.
there.
That's
If you're going to be
fair.
crazy about it, why don't you escort them to the room and make them provide ID then? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. They got it all figured out.
Or two screaming bridesmaids to say their name.
Because let me tell you.
Or two drunken groomsmen to scream their name. Could go either way.
Plenty of all of that. Plenty
Fair.
of all of that was had. Yeah, so it was lovely and got to see lots of family, and it was chilly. Threatened to snow.
Oh,
It was. I know.
do.
I can't get my mind around the calendar yet. Like as I just
Right.
displayed by my
Because
question.
it's still
what's-
100 degrees in
what's-
Phoenix.
Well, it's
Yeah.
96. I mean, it's October.
It's lovely.
It's about 10 degrees warmer than it should be. It should be like high 80s. It's not.
Yes,
This is not
true.
a cool. This is not a cool month in Arizona. It's just
No.
lovely at night.
Right.
But it's just so sunny and gorgeous, and every single morning is breathtaking.
Yeah.
And I'm just not thinking like, oh, burrito, I need a sweater. I'm like, sweet baby Jesus, the hell is over.
Yeah, the first night we were.
That's what makes it a beautiful fall.
Oh yeah, the
because it's
mornings
like,
are just
oh,
oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Friday night we're sitting around my grandparents' kitchen table as we've done forever and ever. And my grandfather's talking about, it's supposed to snow in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck are you people talking about?
I don't have my muck.
I don't know shit about this.
Yeah.
But luckily, and it did snow in the mountains, so we're Where we grew up is just on the benches of the Wasatch Mountains. So you look like literally straight up from my grandparents' driveway, and you used to from our driveway too, like straight up at the mountains.
Oh, it's not the Utes? What's the name of the mountains?
The Wasatch Mountains are the ones that run north-south.
Okay.
The Uinta Mountains are the ones that are the weird mountains that run east-west that create the little notch in the top of Utah. So the reason that Utah is not a more perfect rectangle are the two mountain ranges.
Oh. But isn't there, like, Utes, too? Isn't that what Utah's named after?
Utes are Indians. That's an Indian tribe.
Oh, my apologies. And then
Yep.
the mountains are called again?
The Uintas.
Oh, okay, there you go. You went to something awful, honey.
But no, I feel like I'm pretty sure I've seen literally everyone that I'm related to in the world twice now.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you went up to Idaho, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and saw all of those people too. And so I said to our one cousin Jerry, I said, Jerry, this is enough.
Right.
I've hugged you 6 times just this weekend, and I saw you a month ago. I'll see you in 10 years.
Carry the one. Yep.
Right.
It's going to be a long, long
I
time.
feel good about it. But yeah, so that's what I did, and it was lovely and
Nice.
cold. I spent the whole time bitching,
We drove through Salt Lake on the way to Montana one year,
like you do.
and
That's kind of the
yeah.
only way to get there
well,
from here.
I have no idea. And
There's only 3 interstates.
really, really, really one of, I mean this as politely as possible, stinkiest places I've ever been.
Oh, really?
The lake.
Oh, the lake smells terrible. Yeah.
Mhm. Like, and I didn't realize, I never paid attention to, I'd never heard that. And so as I was
Probably not in the
around,
tourism booklets, I'm pretty sure.
No, but you would think
It's not what
somebody
they
would have
put
been
at
like, "Rrr," you know, like.
Well, does
Salt
it have
Lake.
like a sulfury smell? Because I've
I
heard.
don't- it's vile. That's all I can tell you.
It's vile.
It was
It's
1990.
not sulfury like the geysers in Yellowstone. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of a rancid smell because the salt content of the Great Salt Lake and just blech. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
really
not a fresh
potent.
And it's
smell.
not compatible with life, and it's not. It doesn't flow anywhere, right? Nothing
Right.
flows in or out of it. Isn't
Right,
it a
so it,
standing
does-
body
it
of water?
kind of just stands. It's super salty. Nothing lives in it. There's a
Oh, yeah,
creature
that's
called
true.
a brine shrimp that live there.
And I'm sorry, things
that are
live,
not
things,
edible,
Things,
don't eat
Yeah,
those.
things live in salt water.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
But the salt content is really high, because it used to be like ocean at one point, and then it was a giant lake, and then it's shrunk and all the salt just stays there. But yeah, the lake does kind of smell
Is there
bad. But
Salton Lake in Southern California? That mysterious thing that you fly over on the way to San Diego that you're like,
I don't know.
what the fuck is that body of water?
oh, I don't know.
And it's a natural salt. The other salt lake.
Okay. I've
And
never heard of that.
it's in Southern California. It's below Palm Springs. It's
Okay.
called Lake Salton or Salton Lake.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah.
I've certainly never driven by it because I know that I would have done the same
It's
thing.
between
Ugh.
it's between the two highways, so you have to be really lost in some kind of horror movie where you would make a right or a left off
I do
your
not want to be in that movie.
chosen decoration.
Yes, I do not want to be in that movie.
Is that what it's called? Did I get that right?
Wait, I'm reading. Yes, Salton Sea is a shallow, salty lake located on the San Andreas Fault, predominantly in California's Imperial and Coachella Valley. So yeah, that would be
Yeah.
Southern California. Yeah,
Yeah.
Salton Sea.
So it's right by you see it as you go as you come over that hill and go into Coachella, into the Coachella Valley. It's to your left if you're on the 10.
Okay.
And you can kind of see it shimmering in the distance on a very clear day. Like if you get
Okay.
a clear
I'll
enough
have
day,
to
you
pay
can
attention
you
because
can
I certainly haven't before.
I never noticed it till I flew over it, and I had to stop the airline hostess, and I'm like, excuse me, where are we that there's a bottle of water below us? Like,
Right. What is that?
what kind of bullshit's going on with your airlines?
Speaking of airlines, though, before I pass this on, let me tell you a little something about a fare category called Basic Economy.
Oh, don't do it.
Nope. So I didn't realize what had happened. I was just kind of like distractedly trying to book a ticket, and I was gonna try and use points, and then I found out I didn't have enough, and then I was trying to match my times to like my father so that nobody had to go to the airport 100 times. Like, it's a whole thing, right? So I swap over to Orbitz, and I'm just like looking at, different fares, and I find some that work for my time schedule, and they're pretty cheap, and okay, fine. And so one is with American Airlines and one's with Delta on the way home. Fine. Who cares? Airplane is airplane.
Yeah.
And then I get the email from American Airlines that says, hey, by the way, dumbass,
Wow.
Here's
That's
the fare you bought, and it includes a tinier seat, no access to the overhead bin. We're gonna charge you for your luggage. We're gonna charge you to pick a seat. We're gonna charge. I was like, what in the fuck?
I didn't know about charging more for the seat. I thought they only had 2 seats that were that awful.
No, there's a whole bunch of seats that are that awful, and so I ended up paying because there is a window where you can choose your seat out of the shitty seats that are available, that they literally have shrunk and like smashed together closer. And so I ended up paying like $12 because I was like, well, if I'm gonna be in a shitty place, I want to sit by the window because
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
I like to nap,
Yeah.
and I don't like to nap on strangers in a weird way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'll do it if I have to.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I'm not objecting to it. I would rather not.
I'm not too good for
Sure.
it, but if I can avoid it, I'll avoid it. So there was that, and then paid. So then
Well-
then I was required to check.
Did he stop it?
No.
All right, there it is.
Judge allows it.
So then I was not afforded the option to do a carry-on bag, which I usually do. I usually just make everything work in one overhead
Yeah.
bin bag. I'm one person. I don't need to check a bag for a weekend trip. That's dumb.
Oh God!
And you're not a gay- and you're not a gay man.
And I'm not a gay man, so the
or me. Yeah,
right,
I'd have to.
the
for my
shoes
This
and the
is
hair
like listening
products.
listening to a story about a wizard at this point.
I totally agree. How do you do that?
I literally took one too few outfits and had to like recycle over the weekend because I was like, oh, I totally forgot about
Oh,
it.
there will be
Yeah.
no
Oh, yeah.
I guess
see?
we're gonna wear Friday's clothes on Sunday too.
There will be no recycling.
I totally recycle.
Is it hard to do with flannel?
I'm sorry, I was wearing denim.
Ah,
Oh.
freezes
The
beautifully.
denim shirt. So then, after I survived my flight, which was kind of a pain in the ass, but I mean, it's an hour and a half to Salt Lake. Fine, whatever. So then I go on Twitter and I send a little message to Southwest. Dear Southwest, I'm sorry for cheating on you today.
Yeah, I saw that.
I just flew American Airlines Basic Economy and
didn't know how good you had it.
right.
Oh, wow.
Please forgive me. So Southwest, God love them, promptly responded, like within the hour, responded and said, "Well, we'll welcome you back with open arms anytime.
Oh,
we
yeah.
hope to see you soon."
You don't know how people make fun of the Southwest Airlines, but I gotta tell you,
Oh, no, I
they
don't-
got game.
And I didn't leave them for like price or anything like that. I was really trying to just match
Right.
up times.
And they're not on orbits. That's the one thing that makes it
right.
they don't play on the Orbit universe or any of the Expedias or any of those places.
Yeah, but we had a lot of family flying in that day, so I thought, and my mother was very nice and offered to pick everybody up from the airport because she'd been there for a week visiting my grandparents and helping, and she went to the bridal shower, all this kind of shit. So my mom had been there a long time with a rental car.
All this kind of shit.
I don't, weddings are the strangest ritual that I probably will just never understand. Like every time I go to one, I find myself at some point in the evening going, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, I'm very happy
And
for people
remember,
to get married.
sitting around this table, he and I are the two that are like, oh, we're in the clear. Weddings are never going to be part of our future for as far as participating, And now we're like, oh, shit, it's actually a possibility. Don't back me into
Oh
a
no,
corner.
it's not a possibility. It's been like 4 straight years of weddings.
No, no,
And they
no,
are
no. I mean, a
pricey.
possibility for you and I to to be involved in it as a participant.
Oh,
No, I know they've been going on.
yeah, sure, but I
No.
that's never happening with me. I don't believe in it at all. But I got sucked back into the marriage game like 4 years ago, and then it was with the gays, with the straights, and I'm like, wait a minute, why don't I have a baby shower, bridal shower rule about weddings? How did I fuck this up?
I typically do kind of have that rule. Like I will sometimes attend the reception, but I almost never like go to the actual wedding.
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the
Yeah,
deputy.
I didn't shoot the deputy. No, and I have a lovely excuse because most people get married on a Saturday, and I go,
Oh, I
have to-
work.
Gosh, I work.
and then
I'm
they,
so sorry.
you know how they lured me in though. The last 3 or 4
Was
have
it-
been,
was it
Vodka?
cake?
no, they've been kind of fun.
Vodka.
I'm not a big fan of cake,
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
but I really do have to say, like, I enjoyed myself at all of the weddings.
Oh, and I'm not complaining. I enjoyed myself
Yeah, exactly.
too. But,
I went with a bitter attitude, and they're, God damn it, you proved
Yeah.
me wrong with this strange ritual I don't understand.
So now I feel you were the life of the party anyway. So at any wedding, so I'm sure they enjoyed you
I
too.
have a good time.
I'm sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, when Harrison's saying when she and I traveled to Alaska, we had a lot of luggage.
But we looked good, she
But
said.
there was formal nights. Like you had to have, I had to have a suit for
on
two
a
different
cruise,
nights.
sure.
I wasn't wear the same suit, so I had to dress it up a couple times.
Yeah.
We had hiking clothes, adventure clothes,
Had a kerchief one day.
riverboat clothes.
Riverboat clothes. What the hell do you wear on a
I mean,
riverboat?
yeah, I have no idea.
Do you own Crocs? Do you own Crocs?
No,
No.
Yeah.
I do not imagine that's what anyone wears on a riverboat.
In stark contrast, I went for family photos, a wedding, and my cousin's baby's first birthday party, and took 2 outfits because I forgot.
You forgot that third party.
Because I forgot about the third party. So
It's okay.
Oh yeah, Amina says we were packing for winter, and we arrived for Alaska's first heat wave.
Oh, good timing.
Every place we went, we were told it's never been this warm here. I got sunburned in the iceberg river.
Oh,
wow.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
You know me, I don't like cold.
that's
Marina?
true. We had a lovely week. We went to we went up north. It was Aaron's fall break,
mhm.
and so we went up north. We stood on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. It was such a fine sight to see. Except for this girl, my
Oh,
lord,
Lord.
in a flatbed. The problem was we did it at 10 o'clock at night, and okay, so I'm just going to throw out there: anyone heading to Winslow, stay inside after dark. Just stay inside.
I don't think there's no streetlights, are there?
Yeah,
No,
there's
there
no
are.
street
I
light.
Were you
rolled-
attacked by raccoons?
I rolled through
What
it last
happened?
night.
No, it's just kind of a creepy.
Oh yeah, all
Did
those.
you see the Glenn Fry
Yeah, Glenn Fry.
statue?
They have Glenn Fry, and then we didn't realize it, but there's. We weren't paying attention, and quite frankly, not sure if it was a mirage. We went up. Here's the Glenn Fry thing, and then we went to take a picture by something else, just down from it, and I turn around, and I'm like, okay, when did that appear? And there's another statue kind of thing, and I believe it is guy with the long hair that was in the Eagles.
Oh, well, it
Randy
would-
Meisner?
No,
depending on the era, it could be any one of them. They all have.
no, J.D. Souther.
Oh, the
It was-
woman.
right. I believe it was J.D. Souther, and I'm not 100% positive, but there was.
I mean, he was like a woman to
Yeah,
me.
Oh.
he
I didn't mean
looked,
he was
he
a-
looked very feminine.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Because
But it was
he
very-
kind of co-sang New Kid in Town with them, right?
yeah, he did. But
Yeah.
I just thought, why
Because
are
I mean,
you?
people. Because Bob. And Tim will get mad at me because I always confuse them. Bob Walsh and the other one.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. I mix them up all the
And
Bob
Don
Welsh,
Henley.
Bob Welsh
Yeah.
and Joe Walsh.
Walsh.
I mix up all the time.
Got
One is
it.
Ebony Eyes. One is Life's Been Good to Me So
Life's
Far.
Been
who
Good to Me is
briefly
Joe
was
Walsh.
in the
Yeah.
briefly in the Eagles. He darts in and out of the Eagles too.
Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
Joe Walsh has, I thought, been with the Eagles forever.
Played keyboard
Was.
from 94 to 2016.
Yeah.
From when?
2006 from 94.
Yes, I mean, but
Oh, I guess
but
I
he
thought it was before,
But he was
yeah.
with them briefly in the 70s. He like
Yeah. Yeah. He,
somewhere in there he comes. Maybe Life in the Fast Lane. He's part of that.
Okay.
He's somewhere in the studio musicians of them.
It was just very because
I
we
lost
had
that
to,
one, so I have to constantly confess
Have
to
to
I
remember
argued
it.
that point and lost that he wasn't part of it.
That's a rare occasion.
Yeah.
my best friend's birthday was on the 13th, and I hadn't sent her cards yet, so we had to go find the post office in this creepy little town, and we went around the corner, and there were people that honest to goodness, like they were standing on the not corner, they were standing like just on the sidewalk, and all of a sudden they looked up and saw us and kind of very very hurriedly
scurried to the other side of the
scurried-
street?
No, they scurried into like this like a dark kind of building, and then they locked the door. We were like, what the fuck? Did we have something weird at dinner that, like acid?
Yeah.
Like it was dark, it was quiet, it was the strangest place. But a delight to stay and see the corner and hang out there just as a thing. We left that next morning, and we were going to go to some Chocolate Falls. Have you ever heard of this? It's supposedly like in New York. Hello.
Niagara Falls.
Thank you. But it's supposed to be similar-ish. So I'll have to show you. But we were going to go up there. Seemed kind of out of the way, and it was just a beautiful day. So we decided, well, we'll just go toward the Grand Canyon. And we saw this Walnut Canyon, and we thought, well, why not try it? Oh my God, it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
Oh.
It was just we have one of those roadside apps, and so Meteor Crater, right? We drove 6 miles off the beaten path to go see Meteor Crater.
The second largest ball of twine, yeah.
Exactly, but except the ball of twine, the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. I can tell we did go to see that. We went out of our way, and that was free. This, we drove 6 miles out of the way. We get there, and it's $18 each. Fuck that. We took a picture standing outside the building, and we left.
There you go.
And that's where we ended up at this Walnut Canyon, and we walked all the way down in. It's the basically they show it like where the ocean. It was the ocean. This whole thing was like the ocean, and the area that is carved out where people had their homes that they built was not that they carved it out. It was carved out by the ocean. The whole thing was just weird to read about and fascinating. So anyway, it was really, really, really beautiful. So we did that, and we went to Bearzona for Erin to see the bears, and we kept her in the car the whole
bears.
time. Oh my God.
The whole time?
The whole time. She's like, they're my friends, and she wanted to pet them, and no.
Like bears?
Bearzona.
I worry about her.
Oh my God, you and me both. But yeah, there were bears, and there were bison, and there were these wolves. It really was.
Oh my.
Where the fuck?
It really was.
It's just outside of Flagstaff.
Yeah, it really was pretty fun. And you drive through it.
Oh, I've always wanted to drive right through and have him jump on the hood of the car.
One of them did when not
I tell you
on
what,
ours,
tomorrow
but-
you drive by, I'll jump on your car and
Yeah.
you'll call it the same.
or you can
Wait,
just
can
go.
I come over and take videos of
Absolutely, do it.
Sure, or just go to
Bear sighting
or
in
just-
Elm Street.
Just
Can
go down to Bunkhouse, and I'm sure if you drive
real.
past there, the bear can jump out at you.
it? Can we put a chroma key on the passenger seats?
Sure.
Okay.
Superimposing things here and there.
So, and then we went to Laura's restaurant. We drove back. We drove back through Oak Creek. Excuse me. And we went to Slide Rock, which neither of us had ever been to.
Oh, it's lovely there.
Beautiful. I didn't go in, well, mainly because I didn't have my water shoes, and I
Cold,
don't.
too.
Erin took her shoes off and walked into it's beautiful and so clear and so wonderful. And she got into it and she goes, my hamstring seized because it was so cold. It was
So
crazy.
cold, especially
This time of year, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of nuts, but it was, you looked around and the leaves were just starting to turn. Mm-hmm. Not a ton, but
I love the
Not
village
enough.
of Oak Creek.
Yeah.
Just a lovely, lovely place.
We stopped at the roadside and got some apples and some cider, which was delicious.
Yes.
And I bought some dates, some fresh dates that were from Yuma. And
Harrison's
my
favorite thing is that date
God.
land.
Yes,
Where you get the date shakes.
shake. Oh, Harrison.
She talks about it all the time. I wouldn't drink that for love nor money.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Because dates are prunes or dates are grapes. What are dates?
They're dried figs.
Yeah.
So
dried
by
figs.
definition, dates are not fresh.
Oh, well, I don't care. Fucking delicious is what they were.
They're different now.
They're delicious.
Now
Yeah,
figs.
They're the raisins of figs.
Okay,
Sure,
gotcha.
Sure. Yeah.
There, I knew you could bring him home somehow. I knew you could get him
The
there.
former prunes are
Yeah.
here.
A
Anyway.
fig
So
is
good.
to a date,
Yeah.
as a grape is to a raisin.
Oh, we're gonna do so well in our SATs.
Yeah. So anyway, we did that, and it was really, like I said, it was really wonderful. It was a nice little trip, and I did not plan it well enough, though. We didn't know we were going to go into Sedona. We had intended to go through Cottonwood on
Yeah.
the way back, and we we knew we weren't going to be able to make that. So if you're in Sedona and you don't go to Laura's restaurant, I'm going to have to find you and punch you in the throat. Like,
Yeah.
that's just dumb. Go there, go to Hideaway House. And so we were, we're at Oak Creek. There's no way we're not going to that restaurant. So
Right.
we drove in. We had a wonderful time. Laura, on the other hand, was down here.
Right. For
Yeah.
she was here for the
Yeah.
cannabis
Yeah.
Festival.
festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so funny because I saw Steve, her husband. I just adore him, and he is standing in the parking lot. And I go up and I said, "Well, aren't you the most handsome man?" He goes, "Don't you two ever fucking talk?" But no, yes, no. You know, he said, she's
Oh, I
there.
saw you and Aaron.
No,
I did too. I'm like, oh, is there
fair
a
point.
fight?
I know this could have been fun. Well, that
Wow.
happened earlier. No, but it was really
I think
funny.
it's somewhere near the bears.
No,
It's a real
no.
bears.
Real bear. Oh my god! Wait till you see the pictures I have of them. They're so cute.
I don't know about this.
Oh my god, they're
I
adorable.
mean, is it like
It's
what's
like
that place called? Busch Gardens, where you like drive
I've
through their
never
natural
been.
habitat.
It
and they
must be, yeah,
Okay.
because I've not ever been there, but
Dri-
truly, you
a joke
you're
there
I've
driving.
always wanted to go to Paramus.
You're
and
driving
drive
through-
through their habitat, let them jump on the hood of my car.
Well, we didn't have any that jumped out, but there was a gal when we parked and we went to go into this other area where they had like a couple of otters and a couple of Kinder Bears. They're called. They're little baby ones. Oh my god, they were so cute. And bobcats and whatever.
I don't trust either of these people with bears.
Oh,
No.
I don't trust either one of them with any kind of an animal they could possibly get in a car and take with them
Right.
because they'll show up at home.
Follow-up
Listen.
question.
Was there an
fair
inventory
point.
taken?
Fair point. Fair point. Yes.
Were any animals
Harmed in the no.
Are there any new Patty
Kidnapped.
Hearsts? Yeah.
Right.
Are you holding any hostages at your home or Ernie's home at this moment?
And can we use them to get Doris Day out of her house?
I plead the fifth.
That's fair.
I plead the fifth. Maybe you don't know.
Is there a reward
The
for
struggle is real.
information leading
The struggle
to?
is real.
Because listen, Christmas is coming and Mama needs
You're
some
like,
money, so
gonna
I'm throwing you
turn
under the
your
bus
ass
for that.
in.
I know.
No, but it really quite a fantastic place.
What a fun packed couple days.
It was, yeah, and it really was just 2.5 days. So
Very nice.
yeah, so we did that. Oh, sorry. So we did that, and yeah, and then we came back here and just kind of hung out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
And how
really
long
nice.
is she off? Does she have more time
She
off, or
went.
is she
No,
back
she
to work?
went back. Yesterday, Monday.
Oh, okay.
So it was she was off the whole week, but she likes to take the time where she gets back by like at least Friday, typically. You know,
they have
so
a couple
that,
days to, yeah.
right. So I'm like, get back Sunday night and just jump back into it. But no,
Yeah.
you know, we're different people.
I used to be that kind of a
Yeah.
gal, and now I'm
Yeah.
like, I need a day.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you never know what you're going to, kind of come home to.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah. So anyway, delightful week.
Yeah. I did
Delightful.
nothing.
Nothing. Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good thing because you were a little worn out last week. when I
Yeah,
saw you.
yeah. Did nothing.
Good.
Liked it.
Good.
Clayton.
That was really you're gonna just short line the whole week. That's all you did?
I don't think I mean, I went to a couple movies, but.
Okay, well that's coming up later on. I'm sure you're gonna
Yeah, I'm like, I don't.
tell us all about that. Well, of course, we talked about it and you all knew about it, but this whole for 5 days of the past week, Mom and I boarded a train in Flagstaff, Arizona, and rode it with a lot of interesting people across this fine country of ours, and saw a lot of really beautiful, awesome scenery of a lot of
that's
places
cute.
that you don't see from the freeway, obviously, because they cut the freeway through certain sections, but the trains do a lot of back alley, if you will, back of the scenes stuff. So we actually got on this is actually a shot. This was actually in Albuquerque of
That
the
thing
train.
is huge.
No, it is huge. It had 2 engines on the front, baggage car, crew sleeper car, and then 3 passenger sleeper cars. Dining, then lounge, which is the scenic car that has all the windows in the top you can watch, and then the back 2 cars are coach.
Okay.
And they aren't permitted to come up to our cars. It's like steerage. I kept calling them steerage, like you have in
Yeah.
Titanic.
Like the
What's that
Titanic.
movie called where they're circling the world in the train?
Around the world in 80 days.
No.
Don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, that picture is me standing at this side, and then here I am at the back of the train, taking inventory
The
of
caboose, if you will.
Yeah.
all that.
I
so,
Call him that.
so we went on a train ride.
So was it first
It's a
come
picture of
first?
his caboose too.
Sorry.
What?
Was it first come first serve with the one that you
lounge?
said that you could?
Oh yeah, that's
see
a free
out?
for all. I mean,
That is,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, and it goes It was interesting. Some people apparently, for budgetary concerns, I'm sure, they buy a coach seat, a cheap coach seat. Well, then they go up and they literally sleep in the lounge car.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's any rules or regulations, but there were a couple kids that got on the train. However, they got on the train, and I don't know if they were overbooked in the coach and there was really no seat for them, or if they just opted to sleep up there, whatever. But they did. They traveled that way. No, so that is it's first come first serve, but it's an entire car and it rotates. Like people are up there 24/7. You just up and down. You sit for a while. You watch some stuff. You go back. The only thing is they don't turn the lights off completely.
At night.
Inside the car, so you really can't see out as well because the reflections of inside the car are still reflecting in your window. But daytime, it's stunning. You can see miles and miles and miles in the mountains and all the stuff that you go through. And then there are some. I don't have the pictures on here right now, but the in some areas where you're going through Colorado and you're going up and down mountain passes that are incredibly steep, you're so close to the face of the mountain where they've cut through that you could reach out and touch it. Like it is really cut through there. And then Raton Pass is where you go through. Not only is it the highest point of a mountain between Chicago and Los Angeles in the country, it is also it's a mile-long, solid, dark tunnel that you go through in a mountain, which was cool because I'd never been through a tunnel like that. I've been through bridges, I've been through tunnels like on a freeway and so forth, but they usually have lights. Pitch black, completely pitch black. So, but it was cool because they forewarned you,
Right.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
and you're climbing the mountain at some very, very, very slow speeds in some places. But the majority of the time, that train is running 80 miles an hour.
Wow.
Wherever we're going. And it was interesting from the standpoint of old way of putting tracks together was the pieces would come together and they would bolt them together with a coupler, and there was always that little seam in between the two, which is where you would get the click, 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 as it would go. Well, newer technology, they weld rails together and then they grind down all the welds so it's like ribbon. So we'd be in some sections where you're doing 80 miles an hour and it's like glass. It was just smooth as silk. And other times you're on older track and the whole train is rumbly bumbly going. Yeah. So it was interesting to think back to a couple things. Was all the old movies that you ever saw where they're on a train, they're eating and fine dining and all this stuff?
It's not a thing right now?
Bullshit. Because that whole train, the whole time, those servers that do the dining cars, amazing. You think a server in a restaurant has got a challenge walking on solid ground. These kids are walking on a completely moving car. The whole train is swaying.
Think of a cruise ship.
And I don't think a cruise ship tosses. But I think that there may be longer, saying some the longer deal. But the train is like it's literally just like this, back and forth. And you've got hot coffee, trays of food, and I never saw a drop spilled anywhere.
Wow.
Even from people, it was pretty amazing for that. And the food was fantastic. One of the kids, the train we went east on, he had said he'd been with the train company with Amtrak for 3 years, and they change chefs every 6 months. I guess on any particular line. And he said this is the best menu they've had. There are apparently some management changes in the top, and they're trying to up their game. And he said this was the best menu he's had in the 3 years, and it really was good food, like literally steak. And you had there was a surf and turf dinner and all kinds of different chicken meals and stuff. It was really good. Honestly, it was
good.
Can you imagine cooking?
better. So they have in the dining car, the lower level in the section is the kitchen, and they're cooking live.
Oh, nice.
And then they have like a dumbwaiter that sends it up and down.
You don't need to call him that.
Up and down from the bottom to bring.
He's just kind of slow.
They literally cook live. It was very interesting. But yeah, all good. Like a full fresh salad shows up. Everything's all good. Now I will assume that the bread is probably baked and they bring it to the train. I don't think they're baking bread and rolls and stuff on there. I could be wrong, but I didn't think they were. Anyway, that was all well and good. Couple things you learn. The sleeper car we were in is a little cramped for two full-size people. Okay. It's about 3.5 feet wide, and it's got the two facing chairs, and the bottom fold together. One comes down. So we slept in there. It was the first night out. I mean, you're sleeping and you're rocking and rolling. And in the top bunk, they have like seat belts strapped to the ceiling so that if you were to roll, you don't fall out.
Good
Smart.
plan.
I think
Good
it's
plan.
very smart. Yeah.
But we learned that if we were to do it again, we would opt for a larger cabin. They have like this was called the sleepette, and then they have like the bedroom or the they have two different level up from that are sleeper cars that are larger. They have a little bit larger bed or seating areas. Some have a restroom within them or a little shower within them. So there are nicer beds or nicer accommodations.
So you would do it again?
We would. Mom agreed last night. She's like, I don't think I would do this trip again.
Okay.
This way, because that 25 hours is a long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
To go there, and the your eating is community eating in the diner car, and they schedule all of it because obviously they can't have everybody on that train at once, so they schedule on like 45-minute intervals, and it's community. So if you have a party of unless you have 4 people in your party.
Oh, you're sitting with 2 other people.
You sit with 2 other people.
Yeah.
And
that's fun.
And it's
That's kind of fun sometimes.
Well, it can be. One guy we had was I think he was crazy. He's a 77-year-old man who was a minister and then got out of the church, then got married, and now is writing a blog about sex and relationships.
Oh, boy.
I mean, he was a priest?
Yeah, priest. Yeah.
I like him already.
Yeah. Well, he was a little weird, though. So that was one. The first couple we met, which was cool, they were from... they lived in somewhere in the mountains in California. He was a geologist, and he was able to explain some things about the rock formations we were seeing along the way, which was cool. And then the last,
That's what I would pretend to be if I was on a train.
and then last night,
Geologist.
Yeah.
and then last night,
That'd
the
be igneous rock right there. See
Regina
that,
Phalange.
kids?
dinner last night we had the gentleman was a very nice late 70s. He was which threw me off. We all ordered drinks at the beginning, like what were we going to drink? Water, coffee, tea, whatever. And he ordered a Bud Light. Okay, no big deal. He was a charming older man, all white hair, very soft spoken, and I would assume had a stroke or something because he'd lost motion of his left arm and leg. But his attitude was amazing. He was so positive and fun and funny. And then so we all started talking about what everybody did. So my mom retired. I do IT. This other kid was an aspiring musical actor, whatever thing. And then this guy's like, I'm a non-denominational pastor for a church, or no, for a hospital. And I about spit out everything I had because I was not prepared for the Bud Light guy to be a preacher. Or it just was very funny. But he was so sweet. And again, when you walked away from that after having the wonderful conversation, it was all... just be happy with everything you've got that's good, because here's somebody who, in spite of having a physical issue, and I don't know how recent this is. I mean, it could have been for a long period of time, but he was accommodating very well. So I'm assuming it's been a while.
Sure.
It just made you very happy that, there are good people. There are good people in the world. He was just so sweet and nice and funny, and he made jokes, and it was just a very nice thing. So that you walked away from it at the end. So the community dining can be, it's a crapshoot. You get good people or bad people. I'm not a huge fan of the community dining.
But the community dining on that was obviously changed up for the different times that you ate. Yes?
Right.
Because now on a cruise ship, isn't it the same people all the time?
Well, like Norwegian does the freestyle dining, so you don't eat at times. They don't serve like the whole boat in 2 sittings.
Okay.
Where I've been on other cruises where and that's what Harrison is mentioning about the little short jaunt we took in big water on the high seas from Long Beach to Catalina, which you think, how was that rough? Oh my God. Like the person across from me was up here, and then they were down there. And then they were up here, and they were down there.
So
and
it was
she
a
got,
date?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the person and Stomach of Steel. I mean, I no longer have the title, but former Miss Stomach of Steel. The lady across from me turned green and started to get a little. I'm like, I'm like, I can't look at her face and do this. Like, I'm fine, but her face is gonna
Get
make
her
me
out of
sick.
here.
And we all had to switch seats so I didn't have to sit across from her. Doesn't mean. I mean, I've been on some boats that were rocking and rolling, and you're like, how is anything going on?
Well, that's what I've never been on a cruise, but that's what I've heard is that sometimes
and you pick your
sit down.
you pick your dining companions because there's those cruises where you eat at the early sitting or the late sitting.
Right.
There's 2 sittings. They feed the entire ship in a formal setting, and that's why you have to. We have like some nights are formal, some nights are semi-formal, and then there's like the diners. There's the little stuff that you can do for a snack, but if you want a full meal, you have to do one of the dinner sittings.
Oh, I want to go on a ghetto cruise.
Right, or you do it's not ghetto, it's called freestyle dining, and that's where they have like 8 restaurants, but you have to make reservations, and you can sit in tables of 2. You're not forced to, But it's also fun because
Oh,
in those,
I wouldn't mind sitting with other people. Obviously, I don't care about that. I just don't want that formal part. That would fucking irritate me.
well, it was a small. We went on a smaller cruise
I don't
line.
have anything to wear.
The Rotterdam was a not the Rotterdam, but the Holland America is a smaller cruise line. So those ships are smaller, and it's meant for an older crowd,
Okay.
and it is formal. That's the whole
Sure.
point of being on that cruise ship is that you're not going to be around children,
Okay.
and it is formal. And the last night dinner that we got dressed up for
Yep.
with the baked Alaska presentation and all that shit was
Ooh.
absolutely stunning. There was like sparklers and fireworks in the
Oh,
dining
wow.
room, and it was one of those things where you're like, I was wiping away a tear over fucking dessert that I didn't care about. But now I'm convinced from his story that I want to do that LA to Seattle thing.
Right. So mom and I, any short runs, I would be fine to do again. It would be fun because you get to see so much that you don't normally get to see. Hopefully, most of you that drive across country, if you are, you're paying attention to driving.
right, right.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Seeing the charming little, the little depots in these tiny little towns that were built in the early 1900s. You literally get to see a couple towns like it's Mayberry. You see it's a main street
Yeah.
with a general store and a couple little stores, and then just sparse. People live somewhere. That is another thing you realize. There are houses in the middle of absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
swaths of the country that you just won't see
How do
unless
you-
you go by train.
Right,
Because they call them flyover states.
Yeah. Or train through. Turns out there's another one.
Apparently.
And it just was interesting from this standpoint.
I would love to
Like
take
I don't want to end up. I don't want to particularly end up where you ended up, but I would like to get on that because, and I'm kind of disappointed in the lights thing because I would hope that at night they would do like a zero light pollution, so you can enjoy those stars.
The lights,
'cause-
Oh, that's
well, no,
crazy.
the lights are pretty dim, but they're not zero lights.
Yeah.
But they should be, and I'm sure there's probably something because of safety and liability they can't shut them off, or there's
right,
something.
right. You don't want someone to
But-
trip and fall and break their ass trying to
So
see a star.
Mom and I tried looking at the stars and stuff in the scenery car, but we just went back to the cabin because we could shut the lights off and draw the curtain so that the hallway lights doesn't.
okay.
So we just
Oh,
sit
perfect.
there. But all you can see is out and up so
Yeah,
far. You can't really see the whole
the
sky.
whole expanse.
So, but again, but the little car was fine. Yeah, you're not sleeping on a $1 million mattress with the great pillows.
No.
You're on a train, for Christ's sakes.
Right,
Right.
right.
The porters were fantastic. They were, and they are no longer called porters. But I asked what the name was previously. They are sleeping car attendants.
Oh, I see.
The first one his name was Milton. He'd been there 16 years. He was a amazingly fast older man who just. I don't know how he whips around and does it. And each one of them handle an entire car by themselves. There are 10 sleepettes, and there are 6 or 8 full-size rooms. And each one of them is assigned to an entire car. So, we got off in Flagstaff, so they've got to jump in, turn that, and get before somebody else comes on.
Oh, yeah.
They have to rotate clean through all of these rooms, and they just go all the time. And they sleep on the train. The cast, the staff of the train, the crew, except
That scares the shit out of me. Someone just knocked.
okay. Well, then somebody should probably go check on.
Okay.
So the crew, the
I'll dial
cast,
911.
the cast,
It's coming from inside the house.
go there. The cast of the ship, God damn it, I'm in a show tune.
The cast of the ship.
The
Oh, there's
Oh
definitely
my gosh,
something
a
there.
doorbell.
well, now
and
there's a doorbell
everything.
ringing. I'm gonna Marnie, work on that. She'll work on it.
She does.
See, we're literally at my house, folks. The cast and crew live on. Most of them do 6 days and are off 5, and they work the entire time, but they sleep in between when they can. Okay, then the only ones that really change, the conductors though, change out maybe every 12 hours.
Because of law.
At least
Right,
everything,
no,
right?
right.
Because of OSHA and
Right, no,
Yeah.
right. But the rest
Pilot
of the
laws.
but the rest of the crew, they actually rotate Marnie's talking, having a conversation with somebody outside my house.
I think
I
we
hope
should
it's
be
somebody that
I
we
think we
like.
should be the pioneers for train travel making a
but I
comeback.
want to
Let's
go.
make that
I
trendy.
would,
Alright.
I would totally jump on and I would ride to L.A. Barbara Seville, ladies and gentlemen.
Barbara
what are
Seville,
you?
ladies and gentlemen.
You
My
come to
gosh.
my house. You've brought people with you.
Yes. And
My
t-shirts.
goodness.
Now you do
And
realize,
t-shirts.
as you're still trying to raise money for the Wonderful 100, you realize that we're majorly listened to for everybody not within this country.
Hey, they can send money too. Credit cards.
They
work.
can. No,
Here, I
I
got $5. I got $5.
You're within the country. Barbara, that mic is on if you'd like to.
Thank you.
And please.
Wait.
Wait.
This is Annalise and Jaime, and they're on our committee for AIDS Walk. But
And I can't.
friend.
The video is. I can't make all of you visible. So this is. hang on. Let me see if I can do something.
You're not
there.
invisible.
No, but this is. Oh, hang on.
I would have done my hair. Welcome.
Okay, so this is a better. Okay, this is a little bit of a shot. So we've got Barbara. There's your camera, Barbara, right there. Okay, so explain what's going on.
Sunday is AIDS Walk.
Yes.
And we wanted to bring your T-shirts for you and your mom.
Thank you. I hope they're both XLs.
No, but we can do that.
Okay, good.
But we also wanted to say thank you to Kat because she's been like our superstar this year. So we
Well,
brought
that's
you
so
some thank
nice.
you
Oh,
flowers.
lovely.
All the
So
hard
very
work.
nice.
Our goal this year is $25,000, and we're sitting at about $13,000 right now. But we're not giving up yet.
No.
But there's still time.
But the walk is this Sunday, so if any of your listeners or viewers want to, they can go to our website.
Both of them can do that.
CatCarlson.com.
CatCarlson.com.
Yeah.
Wonderful100.org.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you can go that way.
Yeah.
Because that one takes you directly to our page instead of just one particular wall.
But if you're just throwing money at the problem,
Well, Kat
CatCarlson.com.
is bucking to be the #1 solo fundraiser. So you're number 2 right now, right?
No, I'm number 2 on the team.
On the
I'm
team.
number 8 overall right
It's that
now.
fucking dog. That goddamn
Well,
dog.
No,
It's always that
2
fucking
years now.
dog.
So the
I'm
last
gonna
time
kidnap that dog next year and raise money to release it, and then we're gonna make some
And then we're gonna
cash.
get Doris Day to show up because we'll show her the
I
dog.
think that one dog died, actually.
But it's using the same name. It's like Max. It's
Didn't that
Max
dog
the
die?
something or other.
Max, he
Steiner.
died.
That's the one from Matt Reed. Oh yeah.
That fucking name is still on there though. I looked it up.
Oh, they're probably raising money
they're
in memoriam.
fundraising.
Sure. I come out worse and worse every time this goddamn dog's name comes up.
Walk with a fake leash that kind of walks on its own.
Oh yes, yes.
Maybe
Dog's
we
my
stop talking
goddamn
about the
nemesis
dog.
even when it's dead.
Now I have to ask a question. I have to ask a question of both of you because
Pet lovers?
no, no. The question. So Barbara doesn't drive. #1, so she had to have hijacked one of you to drive her here. What was the story? We're gonna go to a house that
She's
you.
dressed as the Hamburglar.
No, wait, right.
I'm thinking maybe somewhere around McDonald's.
This is as much purple as I have. Grimace, you know?
Okay.
So I'm thinking she told you we're going to a house you've never been to before.
Wait.
What?
He knew how to get to your house.
Oh.
Have we
He
met?
took all the right turns.
How'd you like the hand towel?
Well, it's called Google Earth.
No.
No. No.
Okay, so tell us, somebody up to the mic and tell us the pitch that you got for coming over here. Like,
Yeah,
how was
this is-
this
and that-
sold to you?
That mic is hot.
Show
guys
us on the
wanna
doll
take me
where
to
he
dinner?
touched you.
Oh no, that's exactly.
True story.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly how it starts.
And by the way,
I like it.
afterwards,
Yeah.
That's
True
good.
story.
Hey, it's effective.
It works.
Listen.
We're here.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, I said I want.
You scared the shit out of Marnie, by the way. She was sitting right where she's sitting.
that the little
and
black
you
cat I saw
No,
outside?
no. When you knocked, when you knocked on this window, or whoever knocked on this, which I assume is you because you're that person. You scared the hell out of Marnie when she was sitting there. But I did send her out to find out what the problem was.
Yeah,
Did you get my message?
we've been waiting for a shooter for a couple years
We
now.
have a show. All,
To the door.
no, all I got was a hey, what's up, and I'm like, I'm on the air. Did you send more?
Yeah, I said, hey, we wanted to surprise you, but I know about you and your fucking cameras.
I haven't-
So I'm just telling you, we're here.
Oh,
Well,
no.
it worked. We
Hang
were
on,
surprised.
hang on. Hey, here's what she says. I know. Like I was on the I know. Was gonna try to surprise you, but I remember you and those fucking cameras. We were gonna drop in with your shirts and flowers for Kat, and then I never responded, so you just bum rushed me anyway.
Sure.
That's good.
Well, all
fair.
right.
I'm glad.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. And we missed you this year. What's
I
your
know. I'm
excuse?
so.
What are you doing?
All kinds of shit. Too much going on. The wrong weekend. You picked the wrong weekend.
God damn it.
Sleeping,
know,
sleeping
I
in for
know.
the cure.
And that's going on.
But I'm back
Okay,
next-
take
I'm
my
back
word
next
tomorrow
year.
to just do mine.
Oh, perfect.
I still need to know how you knew how to get to my house. These are the questions that are burning.
Well, something.
He even knew which room it was.
I think I can explain the burning now.
So we're gonna. We should probably just
sorry.
blame Phaedra.
Sure. This used to be Phaedra's room.
Right.
Yes.
We'll just put this all on Phaedra and call it a day.
oh god.
We hope we're
She
going
don't
to see
listen.
Now,
everybody
I
Sunday morning.
used to drink a lot, so I may actually be at fault in this. I don't know.
No, I knew your roommate used to be in this room.
Michelangelo.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have a discussion after you leave because I've got some pictures you need to identify some items.
How Hi, Mina. She said hi, Barbara.
Yes. Oh, there's and Mama Di is in there too. My mom, so she's in there. So
Oh, we brought your shirt, Diane. We brought
yeah,
your shirt.
she wanted to get it on Thursday so she can wash it and have it
Oh,
ready
I know
for
the
Sunday.
procedure with you,
Yeah,
too.
I know
That's
you do.
sweet.
I know you do. Very much so. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I actually was thinking on this train ride coming back, I was so fucking tired. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna ditch. I'm just gonna, do the donate like I do, and then I'll just be done. I'm not gonna do. But now that you've shown up and called me out,
Your place of residence at work.
I have. Yeah, you show up at my home, and I have to get on the train.
It's always a fun day. So if there's anybody locally listening before Sunday, it's a fun day.
It's a super fun day. We start at Cobalt and have a little mimosa. And
We're registering up to the last minute.
Sunday
Cobalt's
morning.
opening at 7 a.m. We're going to have free breakfast. There's going to be a bar available. Then light rail to the walk. We're gonna
Right.
do the walk.
And
come
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to get you back.
Now we're gonna come back.
and remind people because
Joe.
I never remember exactly how this goes. You can register literally up to the walk at 9 a.m. Correct? And donations are accepted up until when?
Well,
Because people are
They
still.
don't count after 9, but
Oh, okay.
they don't count after 9. But they take donations through like midnight that night. They go.
Hey,
They
let's be
stay.
honest. Is this about helping people or about winning?
It was about
Yes.
winning the one year
yes,
because
He almost shot a dog. He almost-
Maybe that's
because
what
one year I
relax.
made number 10 as we were like just as the gun went off to get the fuck out of there, and then the other time I made it up on the stage
He was
just
at a-
as we were like pulling up. Yeah.
Sound like you're at Camptown Races. I'm not sure what that was you were doing.
You die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry.
And that goddamn dog's owner was standing next to me too. I was like,
Oh,
mother-
kick the dog.
oh,
But
No.
we're sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now. We've got. We don't have the number one walker, but I think we're gonna have the number one walker.
Yes, we're gonna work on that.
I think so.
That's
too.
cool.
And we don't have the number one kid right now, but we're.
Barbara, those are for
siphoning
those are
That
for
too.
cast members.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always have to say, Barbara, you raise so much money on your own and don't give yourself credit for it. Like a lot of those events are yours, and you put it in the general kitty and don't give yourself credit because I'm sure 9 times out of 10 you're the top fundraiser
I do it all. I'll be
solo.
honest
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Very humble.
Single-handedly.
Because I mean, the one year I was like, come on, sister, you've been pushing this shit all fucking fall. Like it's done.
Well, this is our longest season ever. But when I decided to go back to Miss Gay America, I was like, okay, I have to decide which one I'm going to do. Am I going to do the pageant or am I going to do the AIDS walk? And so we formed like a stronger committee to do everything. And like George and Dusty and Annalise and Jaime and Jeffrey and Christopher and Eva, they have done like 80% of the work. And I just get the credit.
No, but
Taking notes. That's just
can
that's a
have it.
life to aspire to.
Yes, there
every
you
good
go.
campaign has to have a spokesmodel, and but you
Well,
always
this one's gunning for it because we've been
No.
watching her social media campaign.
no, she's
and
done
her
amazing.
videos.
Yeah.
It's
I was like,
aggressive.
I know she has raised the game.
Yes.
change the game.
Yeah,
The game has changed entirely.
Exactly.
yeah.
No, but
When I come back
You know-
next year, I gotta have a whole other strategy.
Multimedia platform.
You gotta
Yeah,
keep pushing the
Jesus
envelope.
Christ.
The first year I did like every individual thank you. That was kind of the first time that anybody had really done that because Facebook was still kind of new, and I'm like, what? Shush.
Okay.
You didn't know about Facebook, but you know what I mean. Like
was
Oh,
like
they meant
AOL.
last.
I
I
think
thought
it
you
was
meant
coughing.
last
no,
year.
not last year.
Oh,
Several years ago.
I gotcha. I may have stolen it from you then.
I was on another side of town and with another part of the community at the time. But yeah, you
But
gotta
we poached her.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
First
got
thing
it.
we did.
yeah.
So
Fuck
thanks
those
for
guys.
having
Fuck
us.
those
I know,
guys.
I know usually you're on lockdown because of being so close to a church.
Sure.
Clayton's
talking about
not-
me?
Yeah, Clayton's not allowed to be near churches.
A year
or
fifth.
schools.
No.
It's 500 feet.
And by the way, I paid that fine.
Yeah.
No, but
There you go.
South Phoenix, isn't it?
Yeah.
it's oh. For those of you that didn't hear Marty be a bitch, here's what she said. She said that primarily that restriction is around churches and schools in South Phoenix. Very nice, Marty. No,
Us?
but
kinda
one
funny.
of Barbara's taking a picture. You gonna turn it around.
Try to get people in it.
Yeah.
That's a picture of the closet
I
door.
feel
That's
like
lovely.
I feel like this is gonna wind up being on the interwebs. Can you make the picture bigger? What's wrong with that?
No,
Here.
I'm not good.
Barbara,
this-
try this angle.
Does somebody else? Oh,
There you go. See,
this one knows. Oh, that's a shitty picture,
We're
Barbara.
gonna get.
All right. Who am I smiling for? Where is my camera here
Who's
sign?
gonna take
How
this?
stupid I am. There's actually a place to tell me where to look,
I have to.
and
help
I
this
need
dude.
it.
I don't know what's wrong.
Do you need a selfie stick?
If only.
You'll have to set your timer. Do you know how to do that?
Do you think somebody in this studio wouldn't have a selfie stick?
I probably have another one if that one won't work.
But I was gonna say, Barbara, while you're trying to figure out how to work technology, you started with a much smaller group, but you actually every year when you choose who helps you with Dusty and George and these people who know how to get to my house, you do pick a stellar group that gets behind you and supports this 100%. So I think yes, they deserve all the credit, not you.
Oh, I agree. Totally. I agree totally.
They're fantastic. They do so much. It's fantastic. Really, it is.
I mean, I'm constantly like, let me ask Annalise. Let me go find out from George. Or like, we're at an event. I'm like, I'll go get George. He can do that for you. I don't think I've registered a person. I haven't held a dollar.
But that pet thing that you do.
Very good. Where's that $5 bill?
What's that?
He was gonna go to Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah.
What's the baked goods and dogs thing? What's that thing you guys do?
Was that us? I don't think that was us.
No, you do it every year.
Bake sale.
We do a bake sale.
No, but
We
you
did the bake sale. We
you do the
stopped doing
pause
the dog
for
thing.
okay.
Oh,
Good.
the Yappy Hour.
The Yappy Hour, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Like because it's so labor intensive. We started like deciding which events were
Oh, that's a good point.
Profitable.
Yeah.
I was like, save our time.
Lucrative. Productive. Productive is probably the better
Actually,
word
you
there.
know what? Joe DeGanzik has a really good idea on this. If we all gather on this side of the table around like
get a
Marnie's side,
screenshot?
he'll screenshot it and send
Marnie,
it to
lean
us.
in. Too late. Too late. Too late. She's too late.
Actually, Kat can just turn around and be in the shot. Joe, we're gonna do that. So, Joe, I'm gonna give you a couple seconds to get
All
ready.
right, everybody, look this way.
Well, hang on,
These
Joe.
technology folks.
Let us know.
So much. So much.
Let us know in the chat room when you're ready for this shot. No, but
But don't look at the TV. Don't look at the TV. Look at
you have to look at the camera.
Look at a camera.
So hang on. So Joe, hold up the shirts, and then Joe's gonna let us know when he's ready for a screenshot.
Look at a camera, not the TV.
Yeah, you look. Yeah. Hang on. I'll come over. I'm hoping that he. Well, hang
Are we
on.
ready for this?
Joe, I'm hoping you're ready.
If he can, it's on YouTube. We can go back and get it. We'll
Marina!
get it. We'll get it.
Just somebody.
Again, you have to be in a camera.
Somebody
so there
take
you
a
are.
screenshot and just send it to us.
Now you just blocked your
Kat,
face.
you can't have the camera in it.
Would you get the damn picture? I can take one too.
Oh,
All right,
Jesus.
Joe. Do it now.
So somebody.
I feel like
That'll
I
be
got
lovely.
I feel like I had my picture taken.
If not, I can do it in post. We can get it. We can clean it
So
all.
many promises in post.
Where's Scotty Kirby?
Seriously.
Did my headshots twice now, and I still look young in the shots.
Amina, of course it's going to be blurry. That's why we want it.
There's nobody at a sharp focus
We
age in this
do
room.
enjoy a nice soft like.
Joe, if you
Yeah, I was just thinking. I didn't mean to throw you right under the bus with that.
Joe, if you have to, roll back in that video feed and take it yourself. We'll be good. I think you'll figure it out. He knows. He's technical. He can do
gosh.
it.
All right, we'll let you go, but we just wanted to
Very
say
busy.
thank you.
Again,
And-
it's wonderful100.org.
Org, not catcarlson.edu.
CatCarlson.com. Also, CatCarlson.me.
You got all of them?
I got all of them.
She learned.
We have a few.
How many did I buy for you?
Yeah, I have a few.
We got a few of those too.
I had my GoDaddy page up earlier today, and somebody was sitting next to me at the bar, and they said, "Are those all your domains?" I
that's
said,
all
"Well, let me get to page 2." But
Yeah. Now, the most recent one I bought, due to a story that Marnie read a couple weeks ago, I bought a papsmearsandbeer.com. Honest to God.
Raise
honest to
money
God.
on that. I
Yeah.
dare ya.
I'd like to see how much traffic. Yeah.
I think it's a great name for a drag show.
We lost listeners to that straight. It
And
was so gross.
most of the ones we lost were in this room.
Yeah.
When
I don't
you
usually
stop
listen anyway.
and speculate on it,
Yeah.
it's
It was so revolting.
a tool. For
Yeah.
yeah.
Spread them, spread them.
I like that was a universal sign for that. Too.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
We all knew it.
For all that beautiful bean footage.
Hamburger talks. I listen. I'm just saying.
Well, do come back at another show. Maybe let us know how it all turned out. Maybe November you could stop back by.
I think you'll be there, right?
Oh, I'll be there. What do you do? Stop it, Barbara.
Oh, and Nat, now you're gonna be sorry you missed it.
Oh.
Now, our
Luckily, you
G-
can find us on YouTube as well.
we've lost our G rating on the YouTubes now. My gosh, so sad.
This is our family show.
I don't know.
We got a
One
medium
XL.
for your mom and an XL for you. I mean,
She-
a medium for you.
No,
and an XL
usually
for
we
your
do large and an XL. If you have them,
We'll do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Barbara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful100.org.
Thank you, honey.
Always a pleasure, doll. Nice to meet you.
Actually,
Hope it wasn't
actually,
your
that's
dog.
an X. Wait, hang on. This is an XL.
Yeah.
You might want to do 2 because it'll shrink. She only wears it that day. Yeah, let's do two XLs, if you don't mind. One more. My gosh! Wow, we've been.
We're very busy. My gosh. That was
Oh
a
my
lovely
God.
surprise.
So
What a
then,
wonderful surprise that
so
was.
then the train arrived in Kansas City.
Now let's see. We were heading through Colorado
Right, no.
on our way to whatever state might be next.
No, the only thing, in addition to what I was going to show you, was in Union Station in Kansas City. They redid it in '99. It's gorgeous. It is so stunningly beautiful. Now, you being from New York, you've probably seen some beautiful things like that. I'd never seen anything like this.
I do like a train station.
This is in the bar. There was one restaurant in there. Mom took this picture. That's obviously the back of the bar. This room used to be the women and children only waiting room back in the early days, back in the early 1900s. And it became a wonderful restaurant.
Were they trying to get off the boat? Why was there women and children in there?
Apparently, they kept.
Because like a gentleman's club. I got you.
Right,
Like a
with the-
cigar room.
Right, they kept the women and children in one section, and probably because the cigar room, drinking. Maybe they were trying to hit on the women. They were trying to stop everything that's still going on today with women and men.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, so the bar was beautiful, but then we made it to our home. This is our house, our family house in Joplin. This is, and just to show you the greenery, this is the back, looking from the field up towards the house. Now, what you don't see, years ago when I was raised around there, there were a bunch of white 3-railed fences, from the field to the orchard, and divided everything up. Those are all now gone. But one of my favorite things I did, of course, was spend time riding.
Oh, you rode the mower.
Rode the tractors, mowed in the field.
It's not a euphemism, people. That's
No. So there I am, looking at this orange contraption in front here. This picture is my cousin's new mower, and we were talking about the one behind that red tractor is a 1949, and of course the one in front is a 2017. But yeah, so we had a great time. Saw an aunt I hadn't seen in 20 some odd years. We had a great time. Laughed and ate way too much, and
how fun.
all the good stuff. So it was a good trip, all
Good
in all.
times.
But yes,
How exciting.
When we got off that train in Flagstaff last night, we were so ready to be home.
I bet.
Really, really ready. And I thought I was going to need coffee to drive home. The closer I got to home, the more excited I was to get here. So I just was awake. Just driving down the hill. It all was great. So, wow. So in a nutshell, we got my weekend. We got Barbara's.
Yeah.
We've been very busy in the
We had a
last
lot-
hour.
Yes. Now I have to set up a
We've
whole.
got a
Hang on.
lot.
Joe sent me a picture, which I'll get to in a second.
Oh, good.
Let's see. Actually, I'll get to that in a minute. I've got to actually set up a break. I think we're not even going to do headline teas because I'm not ready. Are you guys ready for that?
Sure. We're always ready.
You think so? Well,
We're
hang
ready
on.
for all the things.
I'll
Are we gonna do obsession or?
Do we need to?
Do we need to?
I think we've been obsessed with the AIDS walk.
All right.
Now
I'll
we're
count it.
now we're way over on our first hour than we were.
That's all right. What a happy.
And congratulations
happy
to you.
surprise.
What's your new total?
Well,
I know
thank
you're
you.
well over 1,000.
I'm just over 1,000. I'm 1,050.
Oh, okay.
But the joint effort coming out of Cobalt has been tremendous. We've been pushing Brockstar towards the top. So he's actually the number 2 fundraiser, I think overall, and he's about $2,500 with still T-shirt money to go into that. Yeah, he's hoping to land somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 by the weekend. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, so local listeners, if anybody listens locally and you have an outstanding Brockstar shirt, get to Cobalt and get your shit paid for so we can get the money in. And we do have extras, so if you're local and want a shirt and didn't have one on order, stop by the bar sometime this weekend and we'll get you figured out. But yeah, so between the two of us and the social media campaign, it's been quite the push.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done.
And lots of fun because I know we're not going to do it, but my obsession is now chroma key.
Oh no, it totally is.
Yeah,
Totally is. In fact, I think I can pull that video up and show the listeners or even show the viewers what you've been doing with that chroma key. We can do about that later if you want to. We can bring that up.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and do the headline stuff and see what we can make magic and fill in time. This is our headline tease going into hour 2. We do it every week. Some stories that we like to talk about, and hopefully you'll like too. It goes something like this. Oh, I'll trade you for it.
Whiskey of the year.
UFOs are real.
Cougar sighting on live TV.
Fucking Kevin.
NFL release statement.
Fucking Kevin. Not an activity.
Yeah.
Just probably a statement, I would guess more so, right?
Right, not the act of fucking Kevin.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Fucking Kevin.
Marnie would have had 2 headlines thrown in here too, but she's out with Barbara.
Answering doors.
An adjective, not a verb.
She's
Dealing
very
with
busy.
solicitors.
Yes. All right, kids. It's at the end of hour 1. Hour 2 is coming at you right after this. Stick with us. We'll be right back, darlings.
Educates, syncopates, radio communicates, radio, the sound of year-round pleasure.
You're listening to Q Talk America. This is the Q Talk America Radio Network.
And we're back. Hour 2 starts just as hour 1 ends. It's like clockwork. It's magic. It works every week like that. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Studio C. I'm Clayton McKee, along with Kat Carlson, Marnie Ryer, and that's Al Perkins.
Hi.
We round out the cast of the show each and every week right here on Q Talk America. In case you missed it, we just had a surprise visit from the one and only Barbara Seville and Company. They are raising money for AIDS Walk. Our AIDS Walk in Phoenix is this coming Sunday morning.
October 22nd.
Kat Carlson is the number 2 fundraiser on the Barbara Seville team, so you can help her out by going to katcarlson.com. You can still register from all around the world, anywhere, rubles even. We'll take rubles. If Russia's listening, we'd take them.
All right, yeah,
Because they'd be swaying the winner, and I think that is how they like to do things. It's headlines coming at you right now on Q Talk. McDonald's managed to piss off boatloads of Rick and Morty fans by not having enough Szechuan sauce last Saturday, but one Michigan woman has the sweet taste of victory. Rachel Marie of Macomb not only managed to snag one of the 20 packets of super rare sauce, I guess these are sauce for nuggets, she also managed to parlay it into a car. The 23-year-old graphic designer is a huge fan of Rick and Morty, which is an animated feature on TV, which featured the condiment as a key plot device in the season 3 premiere, which aired this past April. In the episode series, lead Rick Sanchez declares it is his life mission to get the sauce, which was made in 1998 to promote the Disney animated feature Mulan. Since then, fans have craved the sauce, including Marie. She says, quote, "When McDonald's said they were bringing it back, I thought it would be cool to get the sauce," she told Huffington Post. The 23-year-old graphic designer drove 45 minutes to Detroit early in the morning and waited for hours until the sauces became available around 2 p.m. that day. She says by the time that happened, there were hundreds of people waiting, she said, and the line snaked around the building. The McDonald's location only had 20 packets available. So both Marie and one of her friends were among the lucky tastemakers who got the sauce. Now, I was tempted to try it while watching the episode, she said. That is until she got the idea to post the photo of the sauce packet on Pin Nation, which is apparently a Facebook group dedicated to trading pins. There was actually a large response with some nice pins. She told the Business Insider, but if I could get a car, she thought, why not ask? So what'd she do? The driven negotiator managed to find a person willing to trade the single packet of sauce for a 2000 Volkswagen Golf. He drove the car over. He drove the car over to me so that I knew it was running, she said, and without revealing the man's name. He was a dedicated fan of the show, and he already owned a second car, so didn't need this one. Business Insider interviewed the man, who did not want his name used in the story. He justified the seemingly imbalanced trade by telling the outfit he just needed some friggin' sauce. The Golf is currently in the shop getting souped up for a car show for Marie. She definitely made the deal at the right time because many fans were angry for having to wait hours with little to no chance of getting the sauce, as that McDonald's location, again, had only about 20 packets. So this girl traded a fucking thing for a car.
That is crazy.
It's one of those little packets of sauce like you'd have for those chicken nuggets from McDonald's. That's what she traded for a whole car.
That is... Wow. This is a problem.
Can I mention a chicken nugget story?
There's the packet on the left for those of you watching, and there she is with the car on the right.
That's fucked up.
Atta girl.
But yeah, well played.
Yeah.
No.
Well played, you.
Seriously.
You had a chicken nugget story?
So
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I was commenting the other day because very often when all has gone wrong in the place that I work's cafeteria, you are left with just chicken fingers and all the attempted murder cafe specialties of fried foods and ranch dressings. And I was saying that, like, everybody was like, well, they're pretty good. I'm like, are they? Like, no, they're not. So then I was like, they're not like chicken nuggets. And somebody said, well, chicken nuggets kind of suck. And I had to admit that I have no experience here. I haven't had a chicken nugget since I was probably 17 years old.
That's a long chicken nugget drought.
Exactly.
Well, I'm thinking it's still in his body somewhere.
None the poorer for it, exactly.
Yes.
Well, I've taken...
Oh, is that your whole story?
Yeah.
I thought there was more.
No, that it turns out chicken nuggets is not something I have experienced for like over 30 years. Like, that's a long fucking time.
It is a long time.
By the way, you're not missing anything. Still tastes like chicken.
I said none the poorer for it. Yeah.
I enjoy like a homemade chicken nugget. Like get some chicken breast and cut it up and eggs and
because you breeded the chicken, you know what happened to it. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You breeded the chicken?
But we have these new places, Culver's, are they called? No.
Oh, Cane's.
Cane's is the chicken place.
They specialize only in chicken things.
Yep.
Well, isn't that how KFC started?
Well, no, but it's not like a chicken. It's just chicken things. It's just like chicken fingers chicken
and
strips,
fries,
nuggets.
fries. Yeah, there's no like you can't find a whole goddamn chicken there to save your life. But I gotta tell you, whatever that buttermilk batter is they're selling is delicious.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Cane's a big supporter of our show.
Yeah,
now
they should be.
We'll
but we have these weird potlucks at work where
first.
everybody brings in their favorite something.
Okay.
And then one day somebody had like a barbecue thing, and somebody brought in Cane's chicken fingers, like a box of 50. Oh my god, we were like, it almost turned into a race riot.
Yeah.
Like we were after each other.
I've heard like it's like crack in it.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Good and
delicious.
Well.
And I like that I hate buttermilk, but I love everything with buttermilk in it.
You know what goes well with chicken nuggets?
Do tell.
Whiskey.
Oh.
Each year, Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible announces the best whiskey of the year. Now, first of all, two things. Number one, didn't know there was a Whiskey Bible.
Yeah, nope.
Number two, didn't know they gave out awards.
Oh.
This is brand new information.
Now, would knowing these two bits of information earlier in life really change much for you?
I might have drank better whiskeys. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just asking for a friend.
Oh, you can't do cheap whiskey. We can all agree on that one fact.
What's that?
You can't do cheap whiskey.
Oh, no.
Nuh-uh.
No. Shouldn't. Never should.
Probably could.
We're gonna deviate just a little bit to tell more stories about my life. So the wedding that I went to this weekend.
Unreal.
they decided. So my cousin and her now husband are like I don't want to say weird gym freaks.
I'll put the food down.
But they
Did not see that coming.
But they literally opened their own gym this year.
This week.
Not this week, this year. So they decided to not have at their wedding a cake of any kind, and decided I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say weird gym freaks, but
We're not listening.
that's the word that's been.
Yeah. I'm not into the cake, but you better put out some goddamn motherfucking cake if I go to a wedding.
But why isn't there a cake? So they decided to, they kind of looked at traditional wedding things.
They put out kale, I swear to Jesus.
Threw a bunch of it up at the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not much of it stuck. And so they decided in lieu of any kind of cake ceremony, there was to be a shot. And so they passed out. I know.
I'm back on board all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
right. Let me tell you how thrilled my parents and grandparents were, though.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The 20-somethings that were part of their, friend attendees were thrilled and hammered by the end of the night. We're picking them all up off the floor.
You got to have a little small cake for the grandparents.
You got to have a little something for grandparents. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll come back full circle. Your 2 shot options were whiskey or tequila.
Ooh.
I know.
That's an angry wedding.
Ooh, yeah. These are not the drinks of people yeah.
So perhaps my cousin should have read this article prior to her wedding.
A preamble, if you will. I did not know where that was going. Wow.
See how I was coming
yeah.
back in? I segued into the story.
Train
out
got
of the
into
story,
the station.
back
in.
in.
Holy shit.
So in case you're wondering, this year's Whiskey of the Year is a Buffalo Trace Colonel E.H. Taylor 4 grain. It has scored a 97 out of 100 on the Murray scale.
Sure, Murray.
Sure.
Murray.
Here's what I want to do. I want to have my own Bible of something, and then I want to name the scale after myself. These are goals that I'm writing down.
And then
in
I
my
want to yell
diary
Murray at 4 different levels into a microphone.
Murray!
Murray! That's a 4 Murray whiskey. I don't disagree.
The E.H. Taylor 4 grain has been described as having, quote, one of the most wonderful noses on this planet. End quote, referring to the alcohol's aroma.
I got that.
I should hope so, because
Okay.
otherwise, weird.
What?
Weird.
Or just had a good doctor.
That was a 3 Murray
In
question.
case you're wondering, last year's overall winner was the Booker's Rye 13-year-old.
No.
Aged whiskey, not
Maybe
a child.
don't groan about a 13-year-old.
child.
Exactly. Maybe not the time.
And in 2015, overall winner was the Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye, which
Right
this
that
year
time.
took the honors as the Canadian Whiskey of the Year.
Can I have that again, please? It's
the Crown Royal Northern Harvest
Northern
Rye.
Harvest. That's the harvest was the word I didn't get.
Now, technical question.
Sure.
Now, between a whiskey, a scotch. Well, I know the difference between whiskey and scotch. So we'll take that one off the table.
Okay.
But a whiskey and a rye and a bourbon, is it how it's aged, or is rye just an ingredient?
Most of the distinction of your whiskeys has to do with the grain ingredient.
Okay.
For example, a bourbon has to be so much barley, so much rye. A rye clearly has more rye.
But, yeah.
Right. I don't know all of the particulars to differentiate all of the different categories of whiskey, but
I do know
but
I
it is
like
the
whiskey
grain.
better than bourbon.
And I
do
like
know that.
bourbon better than all
Both make
bourbons
me
are
an
A
alcoholic.
whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are
bourbon.
bourbons.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm
right.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Okay.
So in my experience, you prefer a Canadian whiskey.
Yeah.
Like a bourbon.
And then Scotch wins everything. I love.
sure.
Mama likes her single malt Scotch,
Right.
but she gets a little aggressive sexually.
But yeah, a large majority of the distinction is the different grains and the proportions of the grains that go into the different whiskeys.
I feel informed.
And there it is. Have some whiskey. You know what? It's whiskey season for me right now. I've recently started just drinking all of them.
I ordered a whiskey recently.
With me.
And yeah, I said I'll join you in that whiskey.
It was a fine idea, I thought.
It was.
A lovely
Warms
idea.
the cockles, if you will.
You know, I have less cockles.
Than when you started this story?
I don't think I've ever heard you say
then
a
in
phrase
life.
about booze, about mom gets a little aggressive sexually. And it made me laugh because I thought of a phrase that somebody else said to me once. Everything's a dildo if you're brave.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Well, I think we found the name of the show.
Write that down.
Use protection. Marnie, segue your way out of that. Speaking of.
Level,
Well,
segue badge
everybody
level
needs
6
a-
you were awarded.
Everybody needs a shot of whiskey when it comes to Donald.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of dildos, that's the
Yeah, there it is.
That's your winner, chicken dinner.
You put that inside me, I'll kick you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Just the tip, sir.
Well,
things often said on wedding nights for 200.
so there is a gentleman, and I don't mean him
Yeah.
in that house, that created it. It made me think of Amina because there was coding involved. Created a code because with a single burst of tweets, Trump can fire and hire a chief of staff, bar transgender soldiers from the military, and undercut negotiations with foreign nations. Like, it's just, he puts out a stupid fucking tweet and, you know, the reaction. It's diplomacy by tweeting.
Yeah.
So this Mr. Neese, Russell Neese, who called it the diplomacy by tweeting, saw Pat Cunane,
Sure.
I don't know, former member of President Barack Obama's White House staff, in which this Cunane formatted one of Trump's tweets to look, one of his posts, to look like an official statement from the office of the White House press secretary. For context, because he's president, all of Trump's tweets should be mocked up in the correct presidential statement format.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
they should.
It's very telling. So if you are on Twitter and you go like to at sorry, I had it and then I lost it. No, amen.
We still have those gummy bears left here. Or
Oh, yeah.
gone?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna hang on. I'm responding to a friend.
Asking for a friend.
He wants to stop by and get gummy bears. And is it inappropriate to stop by mid-show and get gummy bears?
No, it's sure not.
No.
Not even
We
a
got
little
gummy
bit.
bears to spare, people.
Yeah.
So at real press secretary or at real press sec SECBOT. So at real press secretary bot basically.
Yeah.
So I'm now following it. And for immediate release, the White House Office of the Press Secretary, for immediate release, and they just take every goddamn thing he says, and he's a moron.
Oh, yeah.
So it's this official statement looking. The most important truth our founders understood was freedom is not a gift from the government. Freedom is a gift from God.
What?
These are the things he said today. Thank you, Heritage Foundation. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to revitalize our economy, revive our industry, and renew the American dream. Today, he also said, wow. That's all.
What?
Border wall prototypes underway. These are the tweets that he's
Right,
released.
because the argument from the Obama campaign especially, and from a lot of pundits, is that the Twitter feed should be released as official communications.
Absolutely.
Because they're from the president, and he's using... Although, does he still use the real Donald Trump and not the POTUS one?
Yes.
Did someone finally correct
all,
him?
No. All the time he's
All the
still on
time,
his own.
Yes, yeah.
So that helps a little bit because he's not using the POTUS one that Obama tweeted from occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're saying is some of the things coming out of his feed is that it should be made official decrees and documents.
It's policy. Like he's spouting policy from that.
It's not just that, but there should be an official record of writings. Anytime you write something in the Oval Office, it has to be recorded.
Right.
Or anything like as the president, all of your writings are part of your record.
Right.
And will go into your archives. So your archivist and your library will have all of
Yeah,
your
but
writings.
his library is going to be like one of those little side libraries.
It's gonna be
the little children's library that's even that's
our
rude.
apologies to the children.
To the children,
But it's
yes.
going to be Twitter because, and this comes up constantly. She and I both listen to
Pod Save America.
Pod Save America, formerly Keeping It 1600, and they talk about that constantly. Like these things and hopefully someone is. Because he deletes a lot of tweets.
Oh no,
I'm sure there are
keeping them.
people like obsessed with that.
And you also have to remember.
Yeah, but people are keeping those.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because like even stuff that he's deleted, they've done, but they have to go in. Unfortunately, they're going to unfortunately, depends on how you're coming to the story. They're going to become his official record, and he's going to be known for these. So some of this shit he's been saying is just going to be emblazoned on a wall.
100%.
Where some of the rednecks are going to be like, boy, howdy, did we love him? And other people are going to be like, historians are going to be like, what the fuck does that say?
Who said that? Right. Yeah, I mean, like when he puts, so much fake news being put in dying magazines and newspapers. Only place worse? Maybe NBC News, CBS News, ABC News, and CNN. Fiction writers, he says. Who's buying into this shit?
Oh, there's a lot.
There are a lot.
Hell, all of the Trumpeters. They're all with him on this.
And Harrison and I have a friend. She doesn't go on Facebook, but this is breaking news for her. We have a mutual friend who's a closet Trump supporter and alleged feminist.
No, you're right in there.
That is like now onto conspiracy theories from really right-wing papers.
Like that Alex Jones.
Oh no,
kind of
like
stuff,
but more dark web than that.
Oh, okay.
Like posted something today and has changed her name online, so I didn't know whose post I was reading.
Dark Princess.
Right. I didn't know the new pseudonym.
Something, I don't know.
And
right.
actually had to go to a photo, and it just came up on the feed. I looked at it as a reason for the California wildfires, and I legitimately thought,
reason for it.
No, but is there a cause? Like, because there's been a lot of talk about a downed electrical line up in the north, lightning at a certain point. There have been all these different theories of like how that fire up there started, and this person posted a conspiracy theory about drug cartels doing it because in Northern California they also grow medical marijuana.
Okay.
And so I read it, and I've heard now it's kind of common knowledge that along with the wines burning, the marijuana fields are burning as well. So you're getting a nice high. But
if you don't die from the smoke,
right? Exactly. Wrong kind of fun. So I thought it was an interesting article. So I thought, well, this is clickbait for me. I'm curious about the fires. I'm curious because I know that this medical marijuana is burning and that might affect their industry somehow and their legalization coming up in a few months. So I clicked on the article and I read it, and it was very uncorroborated. There were no good sources to it. So then I did what I always do with any news source that I don't know. I went through and clicked on other stories, and I was like, oh my God, this is one of those crazy pages that seriously the government's going to be knocking on my door in 2 minutes. It was fucked up nuts. And this is like a nice friend of Harrison and I's that I'm like, and she had told me the little Trump secret earlier in the year, but I was like, holy shit, has she drank the Kool-Aid that she's posting this stuff? And luckily, like, other friends were like, what the fuck are you doing posting this nonsense? Right. And I just put simply, like, I looked around this. This is a tabloid from conservatives. Right. Don't know what we're talking about anymore because I've talked myself right out of the story. These official tweets and these conspiracy theories and who believes it. Turns out I'm paying attention. Yeah. Oh my God. It's craziness.
People think I have ADD.
Oh no, that was ADHD, all up in your business.
When with this at real PressSec bot, seriously,
I gotta go follow him.
It really is pretty fantastic.
And today, please tell us his name again. I'm so sorry.
The gentleman who's
running the bot.
Neiss, Neiss. The first person who wrote something. And stated that this needed to be done was someone from the Obama administration.
Right, and I feel like I just heard
Pat Cunnane, or Cunnane.
Yes, I just heard an interview with him recently. That's why I'm so down with this story.
He was part of Obama's White House staff, but this Mr. Neiss, Russell Neiss, is a software engineer for an educational technology nonprofit, and he saw that this Cunnane had done this, changed it into an official statement, from the White House, and he thought, I need to do that to all of them. So that's where he wrote the code, went through and had that all done.
What, curiously, is the date on your article?
October 15th, 2017.
Interesting. Because I'm on Twitter trying to follow the bot, and all references to it lead nowhere, as if the account has been disabled.
Real
Press with 2 S's. Oh, maybe I need one more S.
Yeah, it's at Real Press Sec
Aha.
Bot.
Never mind. My fault.
Please
Misspelling.
hold.
Found. Followed. Done.
Got it.
God damn.
I was like, wow, that came down easy.
I'm
But
very
I mean,
efficient.
the fact that yesterday it has the White House, obviously, official Office of the Press Secretary, for immediate release, October 16th, 2017. Statement by the president. I was recently asked if Crooked Hillary is going to run in 2020. My answer was, I hope so.
Ugh.
Shut up. This is the kind of stuff that, is going to be, like you said, Al, this is what's going to be with him forever.
Right.
And I mean, he can't read, and he can't really write unless it's with crayon in his,
These little books.
his little books. Look at what I did.
And if you
I'm
don't
so
remind
grown
him, he
up.
doesn't sign the things he shows up to sign.
Well, and how, at least good, even George W. That
Looks pretty good right now, doesn't he?
Oh,
fuck.
yeah.
Like
Well,
a
I mean,
Rhodes fucking
he
scholar.
he was reading a book upside down at one point.
Yeah.
And you sit there like,
We,
oh,
long
God.
for
long
the days.
him. And then you have this dickbag who is sitting in the Rose Garden talking with the leader of Greece,
The Prime Minister of Greece today, right?
And this is the same Prime Minister who months before everything came to pass with him becoming president stated, basically that Donald Trump is evil.
Right.
And we don't want to be.
We don't want to go down that road or something to that effect.
Right.
And they're-
And so then that was presented today, and he just everything about him sitting there. He's trying to read somebody gave him something. And he's like,
It's in there somewhere.
wait a minute. Who are you again?
Yeah.
Oh, page 12.
I wonder if the
it just is amazing.
I wonder if the teleprompter is spelled phonetically.
Oh no!
For real.
It clearly can't be, because all of the times that he reads a word that he thinks is going to be something, when he said he actually said, have you not really seen this? He goes something, and the furniture of our children and their future
Stop
too.
it.
Oh God.
Oh no! There was an entire reel that was made. Actually, I think it was. Look back. I do believe it was the Daily Show. Could have been I believe the Daily Show went back. Also, Chris Hayes has done it, because there was an entire segment we did about the fact that he can't read, and they put together all the times that he says the word just because he reads like the first 5 letters and thinks it's whatever.
Oh.
So he actually said something about the rebuilding of the furniture for the children and their future.
He's Selena Myers. I do not know how to tell you this, people. If you're not watching Veep, they predicted this shit
Selena
years
Myers
ago.
is so much smarter than him.
Oh no, and she hangs herself on her own retard. I mean that. Seriously. And the episode where the teleprompter goes down and she has to stall till the power comes back up.
Right.
It's genius.
Yeah.
And who knew she was making a documentary, not biting satire?
Yeah, seriously.
We all did.
it's
We
too
all
much.
did.
We all did.
And Jonah Ryan is running for president. And if you're friends with Timothy Simons, I got to ask him how to pronounce that name because I reference him so much. If you're friends with him on Facebook, you're really friends with him. And he's changed his Facebook page to Jonah Ryan for president. And they have T-shirts. And it just makes me wonder,
It's
like,
fantastic.
if in the last season Jonah Ryan is going to become president, and that would just make dreams
Be
come
wonderful,
true.
right.
Plus, it sets it up for the spinoff I've been waiting for. So, are you done? May I? Because I've been
Please
pissing
do.
all over it so far.
Please do.
So,
I like it. I just thought it was fantastic. It was like,
UFOs are real.
I know.
Something extraordinary was revealed today, 10/11/2017.
Thank you.
Former high-level officials and scientists with deep black experience who have always remained in the shadows came forward on one platform. These insiders have long-standing connections to government agencies which may have programs investigating unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, or UFOs as they're more commonly known. The team includes a 25-year veteran of the CIA's Directorate. Oh, this is why I had my glasses out. Oh, yeah. This is why I had glasses on earlier. Director of Operations, a Lockheed Martin program. Director for Advanced Systems at Skunk Works, and a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. Today marked the official 10/11 launch of To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences, an innovative public benefit corporation which will advance research into unexplained phenomena and develop related technology. It has established 3 synergistic divisions: science, aerospace, entertainment, and we believe these are discoveries within our reach that will revolutionize the human experience, says the company's president. Please, so I briefly vetted this story, but it's on HuffPost and not in a comedy section at all. But according to the head of the TTS AAS statement, its team members who have been operating under the shadows of top secrecy for decades, they believe that there is sufficient credible evidence of UAP or UFOs that proves exotic technologies exist that could revolutionize the human experience. This could represent the beginning of a trend towards a new openness of the part of the U.S. government. These people, with no more than any of us, they will be releasing important data on the UAP in the future. Our first thing, we want that goddamn dam explained to us. The Dreamy Draw dam.
Oh, the Dreamy Draw. Where
And
my
then
cell phone goes out every time I drive down.
Because it's a goddamn UFO. And we want Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
Area 51 explained. And now from something that I read that was also not from like the crazy part of the interwebs.
Sure.
Was that Area 51, they were gonna like just get all the information out there, that something with WikiLeaks or one of those people had kind of released the information. It's kind of just sitting, that it just wasn't like the right time to do it, but that it's waiting.
There's a time thing on classified information too, where it eventually comes into the public domain, and we got to be awfully close to that with Area 51.
Right. So it's interesting that this is coming up, and it's coming up on a legitimate site. It's on HuffPost. It's not in the comedy section. And I mean, it's just about this Department of Defense official who only left his position last week has confirmed that an official UFO program exists, answering a question so many have debated and speculated about for decades. And that his name is Lue, L-U-E is his last name, and that he does not speak for the Department of the Defense because he's not with it, that this information is coming out because, as all of you know, after serial killers, my favorite thing is like the paranormal and all that shit, because I just found it fascinating. It's too big of a universe for it to be only us. That's
Totally.
just egotistical and asinine to think.
I'm pretty sure aliens came here, looked around, and went,
Fuck that.
no, I'm
No.
out.
And
Fuck
they came
these
back and
crazy
they thought,
people."
why is
All
he
they
orange?
have to do is see Donald Trump, and they're going to be like, no.
And may I mention, just in passing,
Mm-hmm.
to Columbo this story, something's...
Just one more thing. Just one more thing.
I mentioned it only in passing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Something's really, really, really fucking off with the Donald's hairspray game the last 2
yeah.
days.
No.
Like, whatever
Just now?
put that cake out in the rain. Oh, no, it was ugly. But it was groomed.
It was
so
molded.
You knew that he could not make a spontaneous... Like, this is not a man who's going to get up out of bed at 3 a.m. and stand in front of a camera. Because first you got to make the cotton candy, then you got to paint it orange. There's a lot going into that shit. And she's eating the melon. That just reminds me of the motherfucker. So I just got to tell you, there are no spontaneous meetings. But the last 2 days, he has come undone. Like that one streak of hair that clearly goes from like his right testicle up over his ear
Wow.
and cuts around to the left side of his face was seriously not shellacked in place, and it was upsetting. Because I thought, okay, the hairdresser's gone. Because that's the person that knows all the secrets.
Well, because there was I think it was it Washington Post? I don't know. It was on all the podcasts that I listened to. They mentioned it about this story from, all of these anonymous sources from inside the White House about him, like, basically just stomping around, mumbling to himself about he fucking hates everybody.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
Oh, God.
It's so scary.
He's talking to the paintings.
Yeah.
Like, he's and then they like me better than you. I'm sure they do. And he's just weird.
Yeah. And it's gotten...
I mean, he is so... Like, so the Prime Minister of Greece is responding to what Dick Bag read from somebody else.
Sure.
And he's like... Trump is standing there, He's got that thing in his ear, and I'm certain it was playing Paula Abdul. He wasn't listening to a fucking thing that was being said.
I hope it was opposites attract.
I believe it probably.
I really
was.
like
One
that
going up, one
No,
going down, but
yeah.
we seem to land on
Or
common
cold
ground.
heart. Or cold heart is snake.
Snake.
I enjoy both of those tunes.
He is standing there, holding the podium, doing his
Holding,
crack.
holding his podium.
Yeah. doing his little crack move with his jaw that he does. You know, his little whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's just cracked out. And you're looking out at the reporters, and I was waiting for him to be like, "How you doing?"
Yeah.
Because he wasn't pointing and winking, but he might as well have been.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
This guy's over here talking, and he's like this.
Well, because he's got
And he's
that.
looking over here, and I thought, what are you doing?
Someone told him that's active listening. Like, you know what I mean? He can't even understand active listening. He fucks it up. But watch, it's the video where he talks about the first attempt at accusing Obama of not calling
The
fallen
families.
soldiers' families. The first video of him doing that is where he looks off his rocker and that one strand of hair is just distracting. But then the second video where the guy from NBC tells him he's an asshole and he tries to back it up and says, well, people told me. I mean, that head of hair has gone bonkers. It's gone Albert Einstein on it.
I have to get most of my Trump news like third hand. Like I can't watch.
I
do not have the like constitution to sit and watch.
I've just been off, so it
It's
plays in the
just-
other.
it's
MSNBC
hard.
plays in the other room, so I'll walk
Yeah.
in and watch something, and because it struck me, it's one of those things that just struck me as like, okay, no one's that low that you would accuse Obama of not like calling families or doing anything for servicemen's
sure is.
families.
He sure is.
Oh, sure
No.
is. There is no bottom.
Oh, somebody told me that.
So I had to go in and look, and then I was like, oh, and then I wanted to see, and MSNBC was right on it, and they were like, no, this one doesn't go unremarked. So it was something else later that he was talking about, and they put the camera back, and I'm like, oh, the hairdresser's gone. She quit.
Speaking of that, nobody could be that low. Today, Nicole Wallace started her show, and she said, about a year ago, I started one of these shows, and I started out by saying, hello, the bottom's calling. Have you reached us yet? Turns out, no. She literally said that today in reference to his comments.
She and I are.
I still love me some Nicole. Wallace.
Every time I hear
And
her
cheers,
name, I think
and
of
cheers
you.
to her.
I'm enjoying her more. I did not like her on The View.
Oh, I did.
Oh,
I didn't care for her.
Totally. I
like her much more on this after this election when it all went ugly, and her party that she was part of, because even she's like, I'm not even a Republican anymore. She goes, I can't stand all of this, and she goes after people. I enjoy the shit out of her now.
I like her
because
a
she
lot.
knows she has experience, and with one of the things
She's
that
been
held,
in those trenches.
right. One of the things that held her back at The View was they were always trying to push some kind of celebrity angle that she didn't know. That she just wasn't
Right.
familiar with.
Right.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't
people were
fun.
not appreciating her sense of humor. Like, this is a funny woman. Like,
She's really,
Yeah,
she
she's
is really
very
funny.
they
smart,
made a
very
TV,
witty.
they made a TV movie about her, and the woman who played her won an Emmy because she was so good. Like, she's
Yeah.
that good of a character that playing her wins you awards. Like, there's a humor there that just got lost, and it was that year that The View was really off kilter, and they were trying to skew towards that young girl from the Cosby Show.
Oh,
She's
Raven
so
Simone.
Raven.
Raven Simone.
And Michelle Collins, who's a funny comedian but really out of her depth, but knew her celebrities.
right.
So they were going for a different kind of comedy, and I kept finding Nicole Wallace to be very funny.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
they were still trying to come out of politics and recover from.
Right. From the 2012 election.
Yep.
And
Yep.
or 13 or 14 or 15, whatever year that was. I think it was, she came in after the midterms. I think she was
That
the
sounds about right.
2015 year.
Yeah.
I believe it's your story.
It is. I just was doing a
I've
whole
lost
bunch.
track of everything that's
I was
going
doing
on
a whole
here.
bunch of other stuff while we were doing that, so I could. I'm trying to do a lot of stuff right now. Very busy. Let's go back to.
I was ready to do an ad
Huh? No, that's all right.
We're doing ads now?
for this.
Hope that can pull. Yeah. A live TV shot about a potential big cat sighting in Hernando, Mississippi. Hernando. I've never heard of Hernando, Mississippi. But it got an unexpected feline visitor last week, but it was a whole lot smaller than the cougar that had been reportedly seen in the area.
This is cute.
Let's cut to
to the cougar.
Cut to the cougar video. See if this will. Well, see if
I'm
this
unaware of 99% of Mississippi, so they can name a town anything.
What are
Oh, that's so
phrases said in
cute.
North Scottsdale? Cut to the cougar.
Cut to the cougar.
right. Where's the?
She's in the mall, Jack. She's in the mall.
So they cut to a live shot of this of this cat,
That's
But hang on, here
fantastic.
I've got the video. Where did it go? Hang on, I've got the video.
Put it
of
next
this.
to a dollar bill. I don't
The
have any
actual
skill.
video is really cute. No, the actual video is really cute.
I believe I have it here. Let's see if this goes to.
I'm Scott Mattis live in Hernando, Mississippi, where there's been spottings of a cougar, and that's not it. That looks like a house cat that was just feet away from where a local man rolled his cell
tell me the
phone
cougar
video
eats it.
on what some say is a cougar. I'll be right back with a live report.
No, that just sucks. He's going for a live shot.
yeah.
He's excited in the morning. He's going to it, and he tosses to the area where it was, and there's just.
That's a house.
Just a house cat.
That's a house cat.
That's not. That is not it.
Is that your pussy? No, that's
No,
a
no,
house
it's
cat,
not it.
Bob.
That's fantastic.
Quick thinking, though, Bob. Quick thinking.
I love it.
I love that little clip.
Sitting in the clearing with the words "large spotted cat" under the screen was a thoroughly unimpressed house cat.
Brava, sir.
Oh my gosh!
That's great.
Speaking of thoroughly
That's
unimpressed,
super
you're going to be thoroughly unimpressed by this story because a report released on Wednesday by the United Nations revealed that the United States continues to lead the world in the highest per capita density of Kevins of any nation.
Ah.
That's right. Ranked against the rest of the international community, the U.S. is far and away the global leader in Kevins, with upwards of 27 Kevins per square mile in most major. Back that up.
Yep,
You gotta do the nay-nay.
I'm unimpressed. I get it.
I'm unimpressed with my reading skills.
So are we.
Weren't we all? Yeah.
With upwards of 27 Kevins per square mile in most major American urban centers. When added,
Wow, reading is hard.
God damn it, I got
It's
lost.
fundamental.
Well, don't know why she doesn't work for Scholastic anymore.
I can't read.
Did they revoke your membership?
Oh,
I
To
got
reading?
fired for lack of reading.
Would you like to start over, Miss Carlson?
No, I'm just gonna plow right
Yeah,
through.
just-
Okay,
I'm
good.
just gonna keep.
Like
I'm gonna keep on.
Fresh Calgary snow. Just
Yeah.
keep going. Okay.
Now, you can add that when factoring in the nation's Kevins, the density, or when factoring in the nation's
I got drunk.
Was that her problem?
No, I just pointing it out. In an alternate
All right.
universe,
Thank you for the update.
I was
You have 27 Kevins per square mile in most major American urban centers, but when you factor in the nation's Kevs, the density nearly doubles. They say there are certain areas of Australia and the United Kingdom and Canada where the concentration of Kevins is high, but they are all well short of the United States Kevin population across all demographics. And when we look at the benchmark of Kevin to John ratio, no country comes even remotely close to the staggering 0.205 figure that the U.S. posted in 2013. That was supposed to be a lot funnier. Marty Ryer, back to you.
Wait, I have a follow-up question.
I'm sure you do. I don't even know what to say.
Damn it.
All right, two things.
Two things.
Oh.
First, how do I get rid of this goddamn keyboard with all these swipe stroke shits that's on my new the new update for iPad?
Does anybody
Okay.
And
know what he's
second
talking
of
about?
all,
Isn't there a little arrow that makes it go down?
right? Yeah, but I don't get it. Just get rid of this shit because it keeps making periods and fucking shit. But I go back to the chat room where we're playing along, and where the fuck did that name come from? Like, what is Kevin from? Like, John's you get from the Bible, Matthew's you get from the Bible. We've had a whole conversation about this on Ancestry.com, which turns out I was a coffee bean.
Oh.
Because I forgot to not eat or drink before I spit into the thing, so I did my renewed sample today.
Shut up.
Yeah, I came back as
that true?
grown somewhere in Central Africa. Coffee. Yeah. She's a plant.
So the
Anyways,
name, the
So
name
they
Kevin.
sent you a new one and said, "Try again, darling."
Yeah, sweetheart, let's do this again.
Hang on, you've asked two questions and I've
That's
given no
funny.
answers.
All
So
right.
here are your answers in reverse order. First is your second question. The name Kevin is an Irish name. The meaning of the name is handsome by birth.
Oh.
Oh.
That's right.
Origin, like, say it in its original Gaelic.
Say it soft and it's almost like praying.
Kevin.
Shut the fuck up. We can't even Pietro that shit up. No, nothing?
No,
All right.
no. First of all, I don't do the accents on this show.
Come on.
Not my job.
Second of all, that's on purpose because I'm shitty at them unless you're speaking the accent to me, and then I'll spit it right back.
They all just end up Jamaican.
Now, to your first question,
God damn it.
can we look at that at a break or some sort, or should we do that on the air?
Well, I'm just saying that the people that think I've got some kind of a stroke situation going on as they're watching my typing because there's periods and capital letters showing up.
You know those are supposed to be
Yes.
in written speech.
Not sure.
Not where I'm putting them.
We can
Fair
defer
point.
to an editor
All right,
if you
well,
like
that makes
to.
sense. And I only mentioned the Ancestry.com thing because in the middle of Ruth's and Elizabeth's and all these biblical names, I have an aunt named Alberta. So I'm like, where the fuck? All religious names. Everybody has a religious name, and then all of a sudden Alberta shows up. So I'm like, did you just have so many kids that the Bible ran out of names?
That
You know what I
happens.
mean? And it was the weird thing.
Well, they went from the Bible to the Farmer's Almanac, maybe. I don't know.
nice.
I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah,
Or the map.
but it was odd. And
Maybe somebody visited
Alberta,
Canada.
And again, the
There you go.
problem was I brought the question up to this one who was like, Bible, what? didn't
Is
know.
Alberta? Where's Alberta in Canada?
Straight up.
Yeah, from New York.
No, not at all.
Okay, that's
And not
why I'm
where
like, I
anybody
don't
would have been
fucking
from.
know.
And not where
Okay.
no one would have been from the plains.
Ooh.
But very just ooh, he's got a boyfriend. And Nat is a boyfriend. So it was just weird that
Okay,
when all of a
it
sudden
says it's a cute boyfriend name.
oh, and Nat, I'm sorry.
You know what?
Read
We've
that
already
off.
covered. Reading is hard.
Yeah,
It
apparently.
is, and I just gave Nat love and took it away.
Yeah. For
I
real.
hope you had protection while it was
Damn
there.
it, Kevin.
Sorry, Annette. All right.
Somebody come up with
Whose
a segue. Get us
goddamn
out of this.
story?
Well, it has
Work
nothing to
hard.
do with anyone named Kevin, but I'm going to try to read better.
I'll allow it. That's a badge 5.
That bar is low right
so
now.
low. But it goes back to someone who can't read, and that would be Trump, speaking
Oh.
of not being able to read.
I feel an obsession underneath this.
Well, it is kind of the obsession because it goes to your story to a degree about, hey, Obama didn't, and other presidents,
Yeah.
they probably didn't ever contact anyone. Well, a little bit ago, today, Trump, President Dickbag, contacted the widow of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
Anything
No,
about
carry
that?
on.
Yeah.
Tell us.
He said to the widow in like a 3 to 5 minute conversation, he knew what he signed up for. That's what he said to the pregnant widow.
Shut the fuck up.
He knew what he signed up for.
But that's what one of Bush's people said about, or not Bush's people, it's what one of the people said in response to rape in the military. And somebody
right.
find out who said that. Was it Sarah Palin that said, we kind of signed up for that, you should expect to be raped?
Well, it
I
was.
honestly don't know that.
I know it was Don Jr. that said if women can't handle the sexual harassment, then they shouldn't be in the
That's
workplace.
right.
No, but
That's
earlier than this tribe of goofballs.
Morons.
Like maybe in
Okay.
2012.
Yeah, I think it was Sarah Palin.
So President Donald Trump, which is just an oxy fucking moron, told U.S. Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson's widow Tuesday that he knew what he signed up for, but when it happens, it hurts anyway. Speaking of how Johnson died serving in northwestern Africa. Yes, he said it. It's so insensitive. He should have not said that. He just shouldn't have said it. The widow has stated. The president called about 4:45, spoke to Johnson's pregnant widow for about 5 minutes. She is also the mother to Johnson's surviving 2-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter. The conversation happened before Johnson's remains arrived at Miami International Airport. A top advisor later told Local 10 News, the president's conversations with the families of American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice are private. It's not that they're private. It's not a matter of it being private. It's a matter of you don't, just because they're private, you don't say that kind of fucking thing. You just don't.
No.
I don't give a shit how private something is supposed to be. You don't make that comment. I can't.
No.
Like, I can't. So, Wilson watched as the widow, who was expecting their third baby in January, leaned over the U.S. flag that was draping Johnson's casket. Her pregnant belly was shaking against the casket as she sobbed uncontrollably. And think that just before this, the supposed president of the United States said, well, he knew what he signed up for. Oh my God! It sounds like somebody saying, well, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You'll be
Right.
fine. You'll be fine. Anyway, there was absolute silence as this was going on. Local politicians, police officers, and firefighters lined up to honor Johnson for his service, unlike our supposed president did, and his service, and for the efforts and discipline that got the he was a former Walmart employee, to defy all odds and become a 25-year-old member of the 3rd Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg. It just was. It really does. Whenever I read this stuff, and so yeah, is it an obsession? Yeah, it is.
Oh no, and
because
that's...
it's unacceptable. It's just this is stuff that you want to claim that Obama didn't make phone calls or that no one else did this or whatever, but you cannot contact.
No, and say and finish your outrage.
I don't even know how to finish my outrage.
Yeah, I don't
because I
either.
sit there and I think, how is it that these supposed people that you're talking about that are in these large numbers that are going to read his tweets, that are going to be slapped in an alley somewhere, and we're going to call it a library, and they're going to be posted up on the wall,
And you're gonna have next to a fallen shoulder, fallen soldier.
Wow.
Well, you signed up for this.
There you go. Right. Hashtag you signed up for this. What the fuck? And this woman has to. I can't even fathom what she's thinking. She's already going through grief, loss, the whole 9 yards. She has
Her worst fear realized.
absolutely. She has 2 children at home already, a third on the way, and you're going to tell a pregnant woman that just lost her husband? What kind of trauma?
And I want to tell you that my inner monologue is always, I just want to take a baseball bat to his head. That's what my inner monologue is for this man.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get any higher. There's no higher brain function. There's no like, oh, I'd like to teach him something. Nope, I want to take a Louisville Slugger to 4 headlights or whatever that line is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Did you already talk
I
about
don't know
the
that one.
news conference where he said that he called, nobody else ever did,
Yeah.
and that whole thing, and then when pressed about it, he lost it and like changed the whole topic.
That's the hair. That's the hair
that's
Oh,
comment.
that's their comment. I didn't see it. I heard it.
Yeah.
Oh no, you got to watch it because you got to watch that thing on his head.
I listen to it in the background while I'm doing stuff. But okay.
Yeah, that's where and
Keep
and
talking, I gotta
this
pee.
and this
Okay.
is after that. I mean,
Yeah.
it
All this-
startles me,
It's
and
hard to wrap your brain around
It really
because it's really our first like crackpot leader. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
we watch all the
absolutely.
Looney Tunes around the world and we go, oh, what a terrible shame.
A peanut farmer from Georgia looks like a fucking Einstein
by the way,
now.
he
Right.
was an Einstein.
He's an amazing.
That's
But the jokes were when he came into office.
Yeah.
How the hell is a peanut farmer?
Peanut farmer,
I
right.
mean, not that I remember by reading about it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't fully remember at the time. But yeah, how is he going to govern the country? He's just a peanut farmer
Right.
from Georgia.
He doesn't know.
And then Reagan, well, he's just an actor from Hollywood, and it went on and on and on.
Right.
You know, and then everybody made fun of her. So, yeah, we weren't happy with everybody who was there. But my God, this is the bottom of the barrel.
it's
There's you
ludicrous.
I
cannot.
don't think I
and
don't
he
know that
has
we're
a
there yet.
shovel. He has a shovel because he keeps digging. He's like,
Right.
"Oh, you think we're at the bottom?
Yeah, I don't
Let me show you."
I don't think we're there yet.
Oh, no, I mean bottom of the barrel as far as people are concerned.
Oh, as far as
He's-
people in
he
the
is
world,
lo-
he's quite possibly one
bottom,
of the
right.
worst
No,
people.
I don't think we're at the bottom. I think he will yet insult somebody else. Like I'm surprised that we really don't have people shooting missiles at us and trying to reach just Washington itself.
Well, because even the craziest of all of the other leaders in the world understand that
He's crazy.
we kind of don't want our it's self-preservation. Like we kind of don't want our people to die.
Right.
Oh, and they do know that when we come, if whoever designates that we come back, we'll come back. When he made the
And
comment,
luckily, even science deniers understand what nuclear fallout is and the
Right.
range of it. Like any counterstrike wipes out everything.
Everyone in the hemisphere and beyond, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I do want to follow up with the widow is the last name of someone who really should be called president, Clinton, because Chelsea Clinton.
I saw her tweet.
Yeah, Chelsea Clinton, upon seeing the president's words, she was there, And upon seeing the president's words completely devoid of empathy, issued her own statement to Mrs. Johnson that was decidedly more presidential. This David Johnson was lost in an ambush, along with Sergeant Brian Black, 35 years old, Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson, 39 years old, and Staff Sergeant Dustin Wright, 29. It is unclear if Trump has contacted those families yet, and if he does, I hope
they don't pick up the phone.
I hope they don't.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I just hope that they're like, fuck you.
Yeah, we'll go on your third try at empathy because
Yep.
your first two are probably gonna suck.
The president, going to Al's story and what Clayton was just talking about, the president has spent the last few days insinuating that Obama had failed to console the grieving families of fallen soldiers in a timely fashion to cover up the fact that Trump simply didn't care enough to respond to their deaths until he was publicly forced to by the media.
Yeah, 2 weeks had passed.
While excusing his own delay, Trump claimed that while he has traditionally called the families of slain soldiers, past presidents didn't make the calls. And where is Chelsea's? I'm sorry. I'm looking for her thing. And
everybody took on the attack. Everybody, because the Obama White House and all of their minions went publicly ape shit.
Well, and
like that's where they were like, all right, he may be staying silent wherever he's hiding, but we're not stand for this.
Well, they even dug up video. It was on MSNBC. In fact, I think Peter Alexander, who was at that press conference earlier today, with the Greek prime minister, they immediately were showing footage of Obama actually walking off a cargo plane, like to a ceremony to receive the remains of
Dover. Is it Dover?
Dover, right? Dover. And this says his thing was, and a lot of presidents don't. They write letters. I do a combination of both. Sometimes it's a very difficult thing to do, but I do a combination of both, because he's so good.
That letter
President
rating.
Obama, I think, he probably did sometimes, and maybe sometimes he didn't. I don't know. That's what I was told.
Yeah. I love that.
What, you're a child. What is fucking wrong with you?
Yeah, when he announced it as fact, he goes, well, I don't know. I was just told that. Like,
yeah.
But you would
I
spout
wasn't
off
celebrating that.
No.
You'd spout that off that way?
Well, and when the bodies of the 4 men that were killed in Niger were brought back to America, he was golfing.
Yeah.
Like just
when
golfing, bitching about the NFL. It happened the same weekend as the NFL.
That's right.
And tweeting about Hillary fucking Clinton.
That's right.
That's my segue.
And really, rest in peace. Like that, that's what it comes down to. Just rest in peace to these four gentlemen.
I feel like you had something to say.
Please.
Oh, I would just oh fuck, really? There's just so many things bouncing around right now in the conversation.
I know.
More coffee. No, that's not the answer.
Hang on, no.
It was worth a try.
Go ahead. Go ahead with your other story, Al. I'll remember.
Well, no, I was just gonna load onto that now. Not as a defense, but as a separate topic. On the topic of the grieving, and we've talked about this ad nauseum. In a grieving situation, and as cards get passed around work when someone has and a family member has died, you just sit pen to paper. If you've ever been on the other side of the death slogans, and there's nothing you're going to say that's gonna be good.
No.
My go-to is stay strong.
Yeah.
That's all. That's it. It's vague.
Very nice.
It offers empathy. I don't know.
It works really well in a hashtag.
But thinking of you seems. I probably thought of you earlier today. I don't know why, but there's. And when people come up to you, if you're grieving after the loss, a loss of a loved one, the things they say, the horror of it. So you would.
They're in a better place.
Oh,
please.
Or
and
how
by
about when
better
they're in
place,
the
I mean my
casket?
freezer. If you're not going to follow that up with a really good office quote, if you're not going to make me laugh.
Would you sign here for the movie rights to this?
See? If you can make it funny, if you can, there's a way.
There's no inappropriateness to it.
There's no appropriateness to it. But then to have something official come at you, which should be carefully thought out, processed, and been put through 9 million filters, and should be so bland as to be not affect you any. You should just read it and go like, all right, that's useless. You know what I mean? That's the level that it should hit you.
Trump needs to work for Dove.
Yeah.
I mean, he really does.
and I'm sorry.
Again,
I
I'm not
was
applauding you. They're just near the Smarties.
I was just
it's some kind of trap.
move the bell. I don't know if you went back through this story. I was busy doing some other technical things. Night before last, or was it? No, last night. When Rachel opened her show,
Okay.
she did an entire. You know how she loves to tell stories, and she backtracks you through a whole bunch of shit to get to where we are.
The Rumsfeld thing.
The whole the Rumsfeld
yeah.
that story, but before that, it was she. I didn't know where the hell we were going. She started it with a very decorated soldier who had been through Army or I think a Marine actually went through this whole story. Then he got out of it.
Lied to get into Korea, served in Vietnam, the most decorated.
Had a bum on the street vowed as his father so he could start in the military early. Anyway, goes through this whole story. Well, he's the reporter that came back that figured out the Rumsfeld thing with the rubber stamping. But it was just it was a very intricate story about how all this came to light and how everything got exposed with all of that stuff. But it was fascinating to me. And I never thought about it. I guess because I never thought that anybody would think to rubber stamp something like that ever, because it is because it's such a solemn thing, and yes, it's your country, and I realize we lose a lot of people because they're fighting.
But when you're doing 1,000 a week, somebody somewhere in an office that has to sign those horrible things is gonna go.
Yeah, then don't start a war.
Right.
Well, I mean,
If you're not willing to sign 1,000 things a week,
if I've learned anything by
Yeah.
paying attention to politics and government, it's that logic
Oh, no,
and
no.
cause and effect
Valid.
do not exist.
I'm just making the observation of I cannot imagine just rubber stamping people's deaths and moving on, unless now I get it. If you're the coroner and your job is just you're processing death certificates and that's it, but you're the leaders of a country. I just can't fathom that you're just going to rubber stamp stuff. I get a form letter. That maybe, but
signed
somebody
personally.
somebody.
Right, exactly.
Well-
And you want it filtered down to make sure that it doesn't say something. Like, you want people to read it who've experienced loss. They're like, okay, get rid of
You
that.
can't
sentence.
say that.
Get that
sentence.
out of there.
But and I think the point to Rachel's very elaborate, and I like that we all watched it, spiel on this was that this was what we thought was the bottom.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Here's where 13 years ago in 2004, this is what and it took a decorated former Army vet, expat, living in Australia as a blah, blah, blah.
Well, he was almost felt like he was excommunicated from the country, but then he came back.
Expat, yeah. He that's what
Oh,
expat
I'm
means.
okay.
Uh-huh.
So went to Australia, did that, and then came back as a journalist, a military journalist or a Pentagon journalist. And I really, really liked that she was saying, here's where 13 years ago we thought the bottom was, and we thought this decorated hero showed us the depths of depravity. And it turns out,
Nope.
no.
There's a whole nother level.
We were 3 planets and 2 skyscrapers away from the bottom.
Yep. Yeah, this is
Measuring, rounding up.
Well,
we haven't
and-
seen it yet.
Well, oh no. Mm-mm.
And just to finish this Chelsea Clinton's tweet.
Oh, is that what the story was about? Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
thanks.
going. No.
No,
I found.
I'm
her-
hijacking everything.
Okay,
I'm drunk.
'cause I have it. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So Chelsea Clinton, instead of saying, "Well, he knew what he signed up for," said, "Mrs. Johnson, I cannot begin to imagine your loss. Your family and all who mourn Sergeant Johnson are in my prayers and those of countless Americans." That's what she says.
Mm-hmm. Former first daughter.
Former first daughter.
Right.
And our president.
Can't get his thumb out of his ass long enough to figure out which way the wind's blowing.
No.
Or learn to read.
Because we elected an illiterate,
absolutely.
racist reality star as president.
I like how
we're
you're
getting
trying
what-
to justify how this works, Kat.
We're getting what we asked for, guys.
No. We're getting what they asked for.
No, we're getting what Susan Sarandon asked for.
Fucking Susan.
Yeah.
Fair point. Anyway, digress, but that's a fucking shame.
Our stories are long today.
They're very,
We're
it's
doing
very
good.
late. The whole show's been off kilter
Yeah.
for story. Do you have something else to
Of
scream
course
about?
I do. Not just pissing on your stories. I got mine.
I don't have any more stories. We're going to outro this hour in just a second, but I want to make sure you're ready for all of that.
So the NFL and the NFLPA released statement on productive social change in equality meeting. NFL spokesman, that guy. Oh, and it turns out I hit a link to Twitter. that I can't seem to get out of.
Enjoy the Twitter.
NFLPA is the
Players
NFL
Association.
Thank you. I was going to ask. It was in my
Released
notes.
a joint statement Tuesday from the league and the NFL Players Association that said they held a meeting to discuss the ongoing protests during the national anthem. The statement said the two parties had a productive meeting focused on how we can work together to promote positive social change and address inequality in our communities. So here is their official statement. Today, owners and players had a productive meeting focused on how we can work together and promote positive social change and address inequality in our communities. NFL executives and owners joined NFLPA executives and player leaders to review and discuss plans to utilize their platform. Oh, Jesus, I thought this was more exciting. As we said last week, everyone who is part of our NFL community has a tremendous respect for our country, our flag, our anthem, and our military. In the best American tradition, we are coming together to find common ground. Okay, so this is a bunch of bullshit. This was like a meeting where I work, where all we did was say what the meeting was about and release it as a statement. So this bullshit's still going on. But the NFL owners had said they had sided with Trump and said they were going to issue a mandate saying, if you don't stand for the anthem, we are going to be able to get rid of you, without realizing there kind of is a big common bond and no one's going to stand for someone being fired for demonstrating free speech. Now, yes, the yokels in the redneck places that have football teams, and guess what? There's not a lot of them because there's not a lot of football teams in flyover states, in case you haven't noticed.
It's a true story.
New York has 3, LA has like 5, Texas has 4.
This is the first time I think he's ever whispered.
It's just a little secret about Middle American football teams. They don't have a lot of them. Neither Dakota, Wyoming. No, Louisiana, find one? Yeah, they have one. Alabama? Nope.
Yeah.
Don't got one.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Mississippi?
Kentucky? Nope. Don't got one. So a lot of these little flyover states, like let's say West Virginia, guess what they don't have? Football teams.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that for a second when you decide who you're going to insult in the NFL and who's going to those games, because those games are kind of near big cities. So just think that through.
Sure.
And you know what that is?
Me.
News.
Yeah.
Because you know who doesn't know it? The NFL owners. They haven't figured out that
Fake news.
our drive to work to these big stadiums in downtown cities, you know what they're not far from? Downtown cities. Yeah.
That's true.
It's an important lesson to learn. Guess who's not in the heartland? NFL teams, you goddamn motherfuckers.
I'm going to need you to drink less wine.
It might have been the coffee. But it really, it is unencumbered, unadulterated rage at these people in Middle America and these people that are doing this traditional central values about blah, 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 blah. Well, if they had such traditional values, then build a goddamn professional sports stadium near where you live. Because you know what? They don't got one.
Sure.
Because they need to be near big cities where people can afford to go to these games.
Right.
So think it through before the NFL immediately went from owners make this decision to make this decree to like, excuse me, guess what? Don't do that.
Yeah, to the Players Association, right.
You
Imagine
just know
how
that
quick this turns if the Players Association decides, well, we're not playing.
Somewhere there's a gay guy that brings them out Starbucks coffees. That's like, excuse me. No, you're not. You don't have football teams there.
You can't do that. Right. But what is interesting on this
topic? Have you noticed the race of most of your players?
Yeah. What will be kind of interesting to watch in the next week or two on this topic is that the NBA is starting their season.
Yes.
And so we're gonna find out. Is this going to like leak into other public figures and
Stupid
other
question.
sports?
Has it to baseball? Because I haven't paid any attention. I haven't seen that.
I don't think that I've seen anything on it.
Because you're talking the national pastime, right?
And now the
that
weird
they're
thing
saying, and I'm
is
just
I
curious.
don't know where the players are in baseball. Now in baseball, that's where you get into those flyover states. That's where those Middle America towns have teams, because that truly is America's pastime.
Yep.
And if I'm not wrong, and I may be, the WNBA had a much more united front than even the NFL did. The WNBA towards the end of their season were way better at this protest and had a lot more solidarity.
You got a lot of angry women. That's why they get shit done.
But curious if
Bitches
people
get
paid
shit
attention because they were women.
Right. Did they pay attention?
Right.
Which would segue beautifully into my entertainment section, but I don't know what time it is.
Yeah.
It's time for entertainment.
Actually, But before we jump into entertainment, I want to show you. Before we jump into
That was more
entertainment,
startling than that. Sorry.
order in the court. This is the screenshot Kat took, and then this is the screenshot that Joe sent us from his thing. So in one you're not looking at it, and the other you are.
I forgot to send you the one that I fixed because I peed all over it with my logo on my website and I posted it on Facebook.
But that's a terrific picture.
It is. That's a good picture.
Yes.
Oh, put that on the Facebook.
Well, we'll get there.
I did.
We'll get there.
Look at my big pendulous breasts.
But while we're doing this, let's go Al Perkins with entertainment Al. It's Al's tease. Here we go.
I got drunk.
I know.
Somebody let me get drunk. All right, so we have yet another Netflix show. I think Netflix and I have to have an intervention because something's gone really wrong.
No, it's amazing.
Couple of movie reviews and then a couple things I wrote down, but not much. Because somebody's got to shorten this show.
For real.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and then a fix for a show and something that we all need to watch, which would double as my obsession had we not cut it. And we're going to talk about Amina's obsession.
All right, we got that coming up from Al Perkins in hour 3, starting right after this. Please stick with us, won't you?
I'm here because I burned some bridges at Wendy's.
You're listening to Q Talk America. This is the Q Talk America Radio Network.
And as expected, hour 3 starts just like hour 2, where we welcome you back to Studio C. It's Clayton McKee along with Kat Carlson, Marnie Ryer. That's Al Perkins. He may be drunk. These are just guesses. We're not sure. These are just guesses.
What that means, kind listener, is turn your speakers down.
Potentially, yes. Anyway, we got one, maybe a shortened hour this hour. I'm not sure. We got to get through Al entertainment. We got to get through a little 2 things, and we may or may not do thoughtful because I feel like we just did thoughtful vulgarity in the last hour. Oh my heavens!
Both thoughtful.
Thanks again to everybody in the chat room. Joe D's in there along with Amina, and Harrison was there earlier. Anant, so many other people. But thank you all for being there. And once again, if you'd like to donate to our AIDS Walk, you can do so at katcarlson.com.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
You'll get in there. But right now, it's Al Perkins and entertainment.
Well, we start off with the Weinstein drama that's just getting worse and worse. And we have to make a couple corrections.
Oh.
Last year, I gave the competing story with the New York Times to the New York Post, and I am so embarrassed that the Fox News Incorporated New York Post is what I chose. It was the New Yorker that did the story. And Quentin Tarantino is who is known, is where the term the house. The Miramax was called the house that Tarantino built because of the success of his early movies, and Kevin Smith, which leads us to the story. So there were some things there that I just kept fucking up. When I listened back to it from last week, I was like, oh my dear,
you were embarrassed.
Fucking Jesus, the New York Post, which is a scandal rag.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so Kevin Smith, if you're not familiar, did Clerks. He did
Chasing Amy.
Chasing
he did
Amy.
Mallrats. I was a big fan.
Yeah, his how we get Ben Affleck. He is how Ben Affleck came to us, the American people, was via Kevin Smith. Matt Damon made some other choices and got to us via Courage Under Fire and other movies, and they both convened later, but
right.
That's how we get to him. Kevin Smith recognizes that his career will forever be linked to Harvey Weinstein, the man whose two previous companies, Miramax and the Weinstein Company, have produced the filmmaker's most notable projects. So in the wake of the recent sexual misconduct allegations leveled at the disgraced mogul, Smith has decided to donate all of his future residuals from Weinstein-connected projects to Women in Film, a nonprofit organization advocating for progress and gender parity in the industry. My entire career is tied up with the man, Smith said in the latest episode of his podcast, Hollywood Babble, on It's been a fucking week. I just want to make fucking movies. That's it. That's why I came. That's why I made Clerks. And no fucking movie is worth all of this. Like my entire career, fuck it, take it. It's wrapped up in something fucking horrible. And I have to confess to, like, Harvey Weinstein's kind of been my idol for like 20 some years for like what he's done for like Oscar campaigns and the movies he's championed. And many of my favorite filmmakers have come that way through his stewardship. So it's kind of disappointing to me that, like, how many movies do I have to like say I don't like now that were some of my favorites because of, you know, the man that brought them to screen. So I like that Kevin Smith is
equally distraught.
Yes, equally distraught. So when an audience member screamed out that it wasn't his fault, Smith got emotional, responding, "I'm not looking for sympathy. I know it's not my fault, but I didn't fucking help. Because I sat out there talking about this man like he was a hero, like he was my friend, like he was my father and shit like that, and he changed my fucking life. And I showed other people, like, you can dream, you can make stuff, and this man will put it out. I was singing praises for somebody that I didn't fucking know. I didn't know the man that they keep talking about in the press. Clearly he exists, but that man never showed himself to me. It all hurts, and it didn't happen to me, but it all hurts." And I find this the way to respond to all of this, because this shitstorm is coming down on all of these people. Right now it's raining down on Ben Affleck, especially because his brother Casey has those sexual harassment claims that were paid off or brushed under the carpet, and there was a big campaign for him not to win his Oscar this year for his movie. And if someone could look up for me, because I'm still afraid to do it, If Bullets Over Broadway was produced by Miramax, and I'm pretty sure it was. And the beginning chapter of Bullets Over Broadway is all about how do you separate the artist from the man? Can you take a horrible person that made beautiful art and appreciate the art without taking into account
Miramax,
the man that, oh God, that makes it even worse. So now we're forgiving like two people's indiscretions with this opening salvo between Rob Reiner and John Cusack and various actresses about separating the artist from the man. And Bullets Over Broadway is one of the funniest movies that's ever been made. It's all about the producing of art and the sacrifices you make, and the opening is all about, can you separate the art from the man? And to think that it was Woody Allen just post marrying his
daughter-wife,
half-daughter, stepdaughter. I don't think he ever officially adopted her because her last name stayed Previn, so I don't think it was his daughter. But if you have to forgive two people in that god-awful meta thing...
Keep going. No, you're good.
She's
Keep talking.
haunting us.
Keep talking now.
So
coming from inside the house.
Right. So one of the other things is one of the reasons that Kate Winslet won an Oscar was because Harvey Weinstein took over and got The Reader made, and it was about Nazis and it was about people with a disability and blah, 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 and it kind of guaranteed her an Oscar. And Kate Winslet says not thanking Harvey Weinstein for her Oscar was absolutely deliberate. So I don't know what to think, and I need Marnie to be back. Marnie, are you coming back soon? I am. Okay.
Busy.
I know, but I have a question for her. It's a panel.
Write it down.
It's a panel discussion.
Clayton says, write it down.
Yeah.
So, Al, here's what's happened today.
Right here, my
I
apologies.
feel like we have just exhausted Marnie and Clayton, and
Yeah.
they just abandoned the show
I don't know
entirely.
that that's an untrue statement.
There was an escape clause, and they took it. So
They've
Fair
left,
point.
and they were just checking to see if we would notice.
All right,
So-
what's your question?
Well, I need women to contribute, and I must confess.
Oh, so I'm out of this one. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have to. And I received a message
I like
today.
that I'm sitting here and engaged in the conversation, and he went out of the room to get.
Well,
to
because
get
I
women in
wanted
the
more than
conversation.
one. No, but I received a message today from something that happened when I was in junior high or high school, where a girl said that I chased her around a pool table trying to touch her. I don't remember the incident. I know nothing about it, but I have to believe her.
Sure.
Like
I'm pretty certain that wasn't sexual. It was just you being annoying. 'Cause-
No, but in a hypersexual.
Yeah, but maybe.
In a hypersexual post abuse that you carry it forward,
Right.
like aggressive sexuality makes itself known. So now you have to
And
ask,
it might have
like,
just been her perception. I mean,
right, and but
well,
perception is reality,
yeah.
which we've all learned from our therapists. Like what someone else perceives of your behavior is their reality, so you have to deal with it. What is the message? Because I don't think it could come from me. What is the message to these women that knew this abuse was going on and chose a different tact? I don't want to blame anybody.
No,
But I'm curious as to like at what point you like stand together as a tribe or a people and say, do not do this, or this guy is awful. Like somebody's got to call him out.
Well, I think that with that just happening, I mean, when somebody comes forward and people feel strong enough to then come forward as well, that's when you can band together.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you're going to be the only person who's stepping forward, you've already been made vulnerable, right? Like you've already been vulnerable. You've already been victimized. And now you're going to step forward and say something about someone who's really quite powerful.
Right, yeah.
In the position of authority that he is in that field, and you're gonna step forward and say something, and then you have all these other women that are maybe in the background going, yeah, no, we'll, and then all of a sudden they're like,
right? Do you?
No, I'm not. I don't want the backlash. I didn't say anything.
Right, because the one woman that was on the record for the New Yorker took herself off before it got published.
Okay.
She was allegedly had the most damning of all the evidence, and then she took herself off the record at the last minute. So,
and you know the thing
does
is,
it say like enough people? I'm very curious about this topic.
You were gonna.
Will you? Well, I have a lot of comments, but will you simplify your question?
Yeah,
first?
because
I don't know
kinda
that I
too-
understand what you're asking.
Like, at what point can you say to women, you got to speak up? Like, you have to say something because we're 30 years into this, and if Gwyneth Paltrow's Oscar that was, campaigned for by Harvey Weinstein is 18, 19 years ago, and Kate Winslet is saying something about her 9 years ago, like, at what point does someone say...
So it's going to take a little time and a little precedent because we are 200 proud years into women and minorities soldiering on in the face of unbelievable and nearly insurmountable oppression.
Okay.
From the patriarchy, like it just is. You know what I mean? We were a country until forever before women could vote, and women still couldn't open a credit card in their own name and have bank accounts, right?
Barely
like,
100 years, if that, into women's suffrage.
We were into the 20th century before any of that happened. So like we have this long history that it's automatic. Like we've talked about it before, but we don't even understand the extent to which we put into, especially women and minorities in this country, like we put this inferiority into your head from the time you're born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We coddle girl children in a way that can almost incapacitate them. Yeah. You know what I mean? We toughen up and buck up our little boys, but we shield our little girls from literally everything until they're about high school age, and then we tell them just to fight the boys off.
But have
You know
given
what I
them
mean?
no information.
Actually, but flirt with them and try to find one that's
Right.
you know rich.
You're
and
gonna have to
try
find yourself a good man, right?
you
So
know?
we're just
And
we're,
you need that to
doesn't-
survive.
and that doesn't make a woman.
And if
you
you're
know,
not married by
her
20,
fault.
if you're
But
not
yes.
married by 22, you're some kind of pariah.
So
Okay.
we're
All right.
barely scratching the surface of all of these from birth, like subliminal ways that we tell women you're inferior.
Yeah.
Like you're not worth enough, you're not capable enough, you're not valuable enough. I don't believe you. And so, like, to expect all of the sudden, all of these women, you know what I mean? Like, I've been watching it on Facebook and kind of with a little bit of chagrin because I'm like, well, I don't think this is the impactful way to illustrate how prevalent sexual oppression and abuse and assault is in our society.
But isn't it? Are we just waking up to it? Is that what I'm experiencing? Am I the privileged white guy that's now seeing something that
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Is that why it feels so gross and ugly?
Because and it should feel gross and ugly, and it is gross and ugly, but I feel like, from my perspective and probably other women, like I see the last couple of days, all of the Me Too all over social media, and I go, well, I mean, if we're really honest, it's going to be literally everyone with a vagina. Literally every woman should be able to put out their Me Too.
That they're changing. One of the big things that's begun is him though, hashtag him though, and the idea that, like,
and that's the part that I get, and that's why that's why I bring that up about the message I got today was like, okay, if I did something, I will own it. Like if you know what I mean, whatever.
You, unlike many people,
whatever age it was, whatever the ideal was, and because I only knew her when I was in love with somebody else, I don't understand where I was going.
Right.
But if the perception is that I was some kind of an aggressor, then then I have to listen.
Right. Sure.
You know, like you have to hear it and be like, I hope we've come far enough in 40, 30 some years that you're like, you don't think of me as that kind of person.
But if that's all that she has thought of,
right? But if that's what I've been in her memory, for all these years, then you can't argue with that.
Sure.
It doesn't diminish. It doesn't diminish or like raise anyone's awareness.
Go ahead.
I'm at a little bit of a loss with this from the standpoint of how old were you in this incident?
I have no idea.
4th grade.
8th grade.
How?
Oh no, we didn't meet till we were early teens.
Okay.
Okay, knowing you. You've been a Mo your whole life.
No. But
no. I understand that.
But as a victim of abuse and a victim of sexual molestation, I was aggressively sexual at a very early age.
Okay, wait.
Hearing this story does not at all surprise. Like, reading that didn't in any way strike
you
me as like.
You didn't say when you first said that story. You did not say you were chasing her around a table in a sexual way. You didn't say that.
And neither did she.
Okay,
but
so
I'm
then,
just saying that's how it was presented to me in this context, so I would assume.
What I'm trying to separate is, because I think there's some hypersensitivity, and I am by no means condoning anybody assaulting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kids chase each other around tables because that's what kids do. You know, and they lose their fucking mind when some 5-year-old in kindergarten kisses a girl. They're like, oh my God, he sexually assaulted her. Yeah. They lose their mind over this. So I'm hoping people have at least some sort of a common sense to realize kids bully each other just because it's fun. I'm not saying, like, I'm not touching you. Right. Somebody's going to completely figure that's bullying and he's a horrible child. Right. Just because some kid, because, used to be the old story was, if he picks on you, he likes you. And in most cases, that's what it is with boys and girls, or boys and boys even.
And that's telling your girls that you should take that abuse because it's affection that you deserve.
I'm not.
Yes,
no,
that's
no,
exactly.
But we do it back and forth. A girl will do the same thing and come back at you and be a smartass to you. Again, I'm not condoning harassing people. What I'm saying is I don't like the hypersensitivity when people lose their mind over the fact that if I liked a guy and I was just going to be a smartass to him because I'm not going to just come out and say I think you're hot or I'm attracted to you or whatever, unless I have a few of those Crown Royal drinks that are really high on that bourbon list. But I think there's just a line, and I think it gets blurred a lot.
It does.
But you can't just lose your mind over just because somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, you're hot. Do you want to go home later?" That's not sexual harassment.
But the amount and the constancy of the minute little like shitty things that women put up with all the time is essentially a Chinese water torture of like inferiority, like from the time you're born. You know what I mean? So it's minutia, and yes, it's individual incidents, blow it off, but you just jumped up and went to defend Al's honor as a homosexual because he couldn't have harassed this woman because he's been a fucking homo for his whole life. Like, you just jumped up to defend him, not to say, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like, what did we do for this woman to feel this way?
Right.
So you know what I mean? And
but I didn't realize
had to,
she was saying that she felt that way. I thought it was just two kids running around a table in school at fourth grade.
No, in the basement of the den of iniquity. So let me just let me share this with her. Thinking back to a time when a young boy chased a young girl around a pool table in his basement, doing a whole lot of grabbing and touching that he should not have been doing against her consent. #MeToo. You weren't the first. You were not the last. But just wondering if you even remember doing that. I was a very naive girl, didn't realize you were probably experimenting and trying to figure things out. But I do wonder what makes men think that they can do those kind of things to women. I don't think she realized that it was going on with everybody that came into the basement. There was just it was a very hyper sexualized.
Ask Tim.
Exactly.
Right. Ask Tim.
Who is where I hoped any abuse to and from
was coming from.
No, but my hope was, after years of therapy from different sessions, that any abuse that took place in that basement just was between him and I, and we were the only victims of it. But it turns out other people went down. So I said, I don't remember that, but there was so much sexual experimentation, exploration, that some of it had to come across as abuse. Mm-hmm. As a victim of molestation and abuse myself, I can't imagine how I acted out towards others, and I apologize. Like, I don't know what line you have to say to other people, like, don't go to that basement. Right. Like, I'll throw myself under the bus here. At what point do you tell people, like, whatever's going down there, if a 14-year-old is way adult.
Right.
Like, they're watching shit they shouldn't be watching. They're making jokes they shouldn't be watching. The music, like, I was never a child. I say that all the time. And this is a perfect example of, like, what the fuck? But at what point do you start as women, like, putting out that word, like, stay back? This is Emma Thompson did an interview with the BBC where she talks about that. Like, I don't know, and I'm always after that line.
So I think that, and I may be way off,
and it may not be it may not be sexual harassing, but it's also harassing, and it's also like a level of adulthood that, like, you may not be ready for. Like, you can't. You don't jump in at the same points.
I think that the difficult. I'm gonna get attacked for this. I think the part of the difficulty is that it doesn't matter, and I personally don't see that it matters for men or for women. Like, either way, I think people can be harassed. I think people can be.
It's a power.
Abused.
It's more power than
it's
a power
than anything, right? But there's this expectation that as women, when we're being raised, that the man is supposed to hold the boy, right? They're supposed to hold the door for you. They're supposed to open the door for you to get in the car. They're supposed to pay the bill. It's this very odd kind of thing. And if they don't, then they're bad, right? At the same time, then we got into kind of this feminist kind of thing.
I can do for myself.
I can do this by myself.
Yep.
And guys were then sitting there like, I'm so confused. What am I? And that's what I'm kind of hearing from you guys. Like, well, what's tolerated? What's not? What's this? What's that? And I think it depends on the person. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that
because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you hold a door open, you to use your analogy, you hold a door open for a woman. One of them's going to say, "Fuck you, I'll do it myself." The other going to say, "Thank you, that's nice of you to do that."
Exactly
right. But you didn't grab her pussy, so you're ahead of the game.
And I think that
but you demeaned her because you held the door open.
Right.
Because
in some situations.
Sure.
But you never know. Just everybody open your own goddamn door.
That's my favorite answer of all. I don't have to open a door. I'm good.
No, but I mean, and so I'm not. It's not a matter of saying one is right, one is wrong. It's, I think, to everyone's own, because this gal that wrote that, I don't have any idea what the fuck happened to her before you may not have chased her around a table.
Right.
I mean, like, maybe when she was very young, something
Right.
rather dramatic.
A stepfather
and-
may have
and-
chased her
right.
around a table.
Something,
Right.
right? A neighbor
Right.
boy, a whatever.
And you don't know why it was a trigger or why.
Right.
But the thing that shocks me about it is that in some situation, in that age group, I had some kind of power. Like that's the part that I can't. Like I realized there was sexuality at an early age. There was a little bit more of an understanding of sexuality in early age. But the fact that I had any kind of power before like 17 years old strikes me as like.
See, but I would be willing to bet that she wrote more than one message this week.
Thank you.
I
was
would be
thinking the
willing
same
to
thing.
bet that you weren't the only message
yes.
that she wrote. You know what I mean? I bet she got
okay.
to thinking and said, this is a thing and this is what we're doing, and she started sending out
That's right.
messages.
Or if it was me because I've been very vocal on this.
Did
if
she-
I
was
was
that
the
a
one
dir-
that she thought would be more.
Was it a direct message?
Oh,
to
yeah.
you? Okay.
Kat,
You
I'm
don't- yeah,
totally
I mean-
with you on that.
Yeah,
Totally with you.
No, I
Yeah.
and that I
Well,
Because I think you know
when you say pool table, you know you're talking about my basement. Like I mean,
right.
there's the disco
Sure.
light, the Donald Summer,
I'm
the pool
sure.
table.
I'm sure that was a distinct memory, but
Sure.
I would bet dollars to donuts that if she didn't send them all, that you weren't the
Right.
only message that she wrote either in her head or actually sent.
to piggyback your thought on that, which I don't disagree with, to piggyback that, and I'm not trying to diminish whatever she felt with regards to what happened.
Sure.
Do you think also there's a chance this is one of those people who thinks every single
Oh,
thing
no.
that, like, every time somebody, again, because we don't know what happened previously. If let's say a stepfather
Oh,
or
yeah.
somebody chased her around a table and did things that he never should have done.
But this is a strong woman. This is a very strong woman.
You say that now.
At the time, probably maybe not. Maybe,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what I'm wondering is, you said she may have written several of those, right?
Sure.
It may have been. What I'm wondering is this somebody who was hurt at one point? He unfortunately tripped a trigger, but I'm wondering if it's one of those things that every time through life now, every time somebody inadvertently may even follow her around a table, she flinches and she thinks that something could potentially be happening.
Oh,
I'm not
but-
saying overreacting.
Oh no, but aren't we all like that? Like, don't we
Well,
all have
sure,
our sense
all
of
of our-
safety, our sense of like this rings wrong? Like, I mean, we've all
Yeah,
been
but
in.
that becomes our gut instinct, and
Yeah.
I don't know that it. And everyone gets that gut instinct at a different
Time.
time.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I wish we could call this woman and talk to her.
And possibly for different reasons.
She probably doesn't wish that.
Right. But I mean, and possibly
just-
that gut instinct comes to us at those different times for different reasons.
I just want answers that rather than us hypothesizing.
Sure.
I just want her to. I want somebody to explain that. I want a first person of experience to explain it. I realize you could in a certain instance.
Oh no, but I mean, I can just from my knowledge of that place and that time and what was going on down there. If you were not ready to be in that situation,
Sure. It was probably pretty.
it was
Intense.
aggressive. It was
Yeah,
aggressive,
yeah.
right, and then you start to think about like, oh God, there was a lot going on down there. Like you may not want to wanted to have been in that space or felt safe. Like that may have been my safe space, but that doesn't make it anybody else's safe
And
space.
anybody can look at from the outside and say, well, then she should have left. Right? I mean, she should have left.
Oh, you waited
If
for your
you're
parents to
uncomfortable.
pick you up? Like you
Right.
waited for
They're
like
all different. You don't want to. Well, but I mean, other people
And I don't know
are
the
having so much fun.
and I don't know the time frame. I don't know.
And I'm
either.
making
like,
shit
yeah.
up right now.
Right,
but
right,
I mean,
right.
you know, it could be all those things. You know, you might have this tinge of this doesn't. I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. But I'm just throwing it out there as like an
Yeah.
example of like how this hits home in places that you don't even know. Like,
Well, and in the United States, I think that there's a whole different world than there is because of with certain things that were shared. Amina.
Amina's story up there is
Amina-
horrifying.
Amina had when that link with the time. I'm assuming Amina because I'm not in the chat room right now. But if you click on that link, it's a post that she has that talks about the Me Too and how some people are putting different experiences and that they've had, and she literally has the years.
Yeah,
sure.
Dates and
this-
times,
and,
right?
And I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like all of 2014, all of 2015, and the fact that up in the chat room, and as a result of me getting my neck cut open, all the adults around me were like, "You shouldn't have led him on." right? Because of in this part of the world, men outright attack.
And we learned that outright last week from Donna Karen's statements, which we read last week.
Yeah.
But until you saw the interview, the pure evil of it really did not connect.
Yeah.
I saw the interview.
I haven't seen the interview yet.
And I wanted, like part of me, my insides died. I will tell you right now that listening to Donna Karen say those words to a reporter about someone who said they were raped, assaulted, was that.
Yeah.
Was
Well, what was she wearing?
No, from Donna Karen.
I know.
Who has ads, the DKNY ads, and like her retraction, her reprint. But I bring that. I don't know. It's been on my mind since I got this text message
I'm
today.
curious about reactions from the chat room from the three of you. It was something I figured that would kind of get brought up. That Hillary's response in the fact that she was stating that like with about sexual predators basically, right? And calling some people out, but not necessarily Bill. And let me rephrase that. Not at all Bill.
Not at all Bill.
So how does that and I'm not trying to stir a shit
Oh, no,
pot.
no.
I'm just curious what the response is to that, because I kind of thought that was a little pot calling the kettle black.
But you can't blame a wife for the husband's
No. Transgression.
misgivings.
You're right.
And does
But if you're going to call people,
does she believe that it was all consensual? Because there's a difference with that.
But how do you not believe the victim?
If you're the wife, whose side do you take? It's a tough call. If you're ask a wolf's mother. I mean, it's my favorite line from Into the Woods. You just have to go to where are you sitting in the jury box? Right. Because if you're the mother, then you probably are gonna think maybe it was consensual,
right?
And maybe she, as a wife, still has to go with it was consensual. But she's not married to Harvey Weinstein and doesn't know anything about him.
Go ahead.
I think.
And where does Georgina Chapman fall under this? Because now she's in the Hillary Clinton boat of he's saying it's consensual. Does she believe it?
Okay.
So, part of things that Hillary has said on this topic include the fact that, you know, Bill's scandal has been litigated. Like, he was impeached. He had the trials and a special investigation. Okay. Like, he has been, you know, pulled out, looked up, investigated.
He was certainly pulled out.
Well,
right. But I
but
will,
you know what I mean? Like, there's.
But I will have to agree with that because he stood trial for an offense, not the right offense.
Right.
And there are other accusers. But at the same time, if you've been put on trial and proven innocent, then don't we also have to believe the jury's decision and go on, like it or not?
But is that what we're doing with Cosby?
It's a hung trial, and
most of
it's
going through.
And the majority of his
no, and I'm not sticking up for anybody. Or
but the majority of his cases fall out of what's that called?
Statute of
limitations, where he falls out of that, so they can't investigate. Where the bulk of what Ken Starr was investigating, which was Whitewater, and he went 9 million different ways.
Yeah,
praise Jesus. What's his butt will do the same.
Come on, Mueller.
Come on, Mueller. But has he not been tried and acquitted of the offense? Maybe not in the same way because it's a Senate hearing. I don't know.
But should Hillary have just kind of stayed out of that? As far as
isn't she damned no matter what she says?
Yes,
completely agree.
Yes, because Hillary was already being, you know, strung up for how long it took her to respond to the Weinstein, the Harvey stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if she doesn't respond right away, then why haven't you said anything?
Right.
But if she responds, then why didn't you say anything about Bill? Like, exactly.
Totally.
Like, Hillary's damned if she does, damned if she
Completely
doesn't.
agree.
Which brings us back to that woman conundrum of like, is there a good time to be a woman?
Right.
Well, there hasn't been yet, honestly.
It's just, to me, it's coming at us from all sides. It's coming at us from realizing
that's how women have felt for a very long time.
Exactly. But so that's what I'm saying. Is it an awakening to those of us who live in a bubble where we're not now groping women, but we're waking up to like, oh Jesus, like the transgender thing. I think we spent 5 years on this show growing up with the transgender movement and being like, okay, there's a whole different story here than what we thought.
You know, when Amina was stating that I'm so sorry. And men act surprised after all of that. When you
and
look
here's
at,
me, man, acting
link.
surprised, like
Right.
it's sitting in front of you.
One of the gentlemen, a gentleman that I went to high school with, really is a great guy. I mean, I've thought he was a great guy since high school. You know, where you're junior high. And he had read a post that I had put on and said, I can't help but look back at myself in high school and not be ashamed of my lack of decency to recognize what sexual assault and date rape are. It's rape, pure and simple. And for that, all I can do is apologize for whatever. One thing I can do is make sure my son can respect people and show compassion for everyone. That touched my heart like there was no tomorrow.
But haven't we all grown in like 30 years of like going, like since the Anita Hill thing, did we all suddenly stop saying, oh, you know what, you shouldn't do that to someone at work no matter what they're wearing? Or the first time you heard someone say, well, what was she wearing, that you're like, oh God, there's an ick factor there that I just can't live with. Or, well, why was she alone at night?
Statute of limitations for rape and sexual assault is 7 years.
7 years, yeah. Murder is forever.
Yeah. Yep.
So there it is. So, and we're gonna segue out of this because this was really uncomfortable for a lot of people involved.
That went a long ways.
But it has to. It's kind
it does.
What? I'm just curious because you've kind of sat very stoic.
I don't have a dog in this fight.
No, that's fair.
I don't
No.
because I've never I was never raped. I was never assaulted.
Yeah.
I came from a broken home, but no part of that was I ever mistreated. I don't have a dog in this fight.
Yeah.
I've never, to my knowledge, aside from, again, I clearly have a different perception of how things work than everybody else does. Right. Like I said, you know, you always made fun of the person or the girl at school that you kind of had a crush on, or the guy that you had a crush on. So I clearly see it very different, and everybody else is lighting their fucking hair on fire that, okay, if you make fun of me more than twice, you're assaulting me. Right. So I'm just going to back out because I clearly have a different perception of how this works, and I don't want to get in the oversensitive part of it.
But it works with bullying too.
But again, I think
understand where you're coming from.
If you're oversensitive about every goddamn time somebody says, "How you doing, big boy?" Oh man, you called me fat?
Right.
Because people do that. But there's a person out there that's going to say every time, I don't care if you did it once, he's bullying me. Could you call me big boy?
Right.
I mean, there's all that. I'm just like, because I have bullied people. I've been a smart, but I say it on the side. I've been a smart ass my whole life.
Right.
Have I offended people? Sure, I have. Of
course.
Have I upset people? Sure, I have. Have I felt bad for doing it? Sure, I have. But at the same point, I guess I just perceive it differently. I think people have a thicker skin. I am not at all demeaning anything that these women have gone through because I don't think that's right at all. I'm not saying, I am saying. In some cases, when you're with somebody, I'm not in a sexual relation, in a sexual position, not position, situation. I mean, sexual position is very different.
Words matter.
Sometimes, I mean, depending on the situation, sometimes a little coaxing gets you into a situation that you wanted to get into. I'm not saying it's rape, but it's a very fine line. If you say yes after the second time, did I pressure you? Or did you really want it anyway, and you're going with what you wanted?
Right, and there is a new way of thinking about sex that, like, in the Big Bang Theory, where he's like, it's a very litigious society.
Right.
Can you just sign this right here?
Right.
Yeah,
Even though you said yes twice, I just want to make sure. And it's a nice step to take. Like, take a break. We call timeouts at work before you operate on somebody or cut someone open. Just one more time. Is it the right leg or the left leg? Like, is everybody a yes? You know what I mean? Like, and that's it's an important thing to realize, and especially from the bullying culture, we'll speak to that too. As someone who was bullied, I know that I carry on the tradition of bullying. There was nothing about this email that I found particularly shocking.
I was bullied too, but I don't hold it that way.
No, but
like
you bully in turn.
Right, but I've also always been a smartass.
But it really but it carries forward. Like the bully in the schoolyard's probably being bullied at home. The person that's
Right.
aggressive sexually has probably had too early a sexual experience. There is a trigger there. I'm segueing into my own segments really beautifully, but there is something behind it. Like there is. Something
I agree.
There.
I just feel like every time somebody brings up something like that, it's bad, and I don't look at it that same way.
Yeah.
Just
So,
because
it's not all bad.
Just because my reaction was comedy and being sarcastic in a situation because somebody was making fun of me when I was younger, a heavier, gay, whatever the hell it was. Just because my reaction to that is being a smartass, I feel like what you're saying and what society is saying is I'm in the wrong because I'm reacting.
So there's upside downside here. For example,
I prefer upside.
Yeah.
It depends on the day. I mean, sometimes
sometimes you just want to lay there. Sometimes you just want to lay there.
I always prefer.
I pressed hard. I was signing 2 copies.
So I don't tell most of my story most of the time, but when I do, a lot of times people's reaction is, in fact, I recently overshared with someone whose daughter was coming out and a whole thing, and I had a couple of beers and all of a sudden was just oversharing.
How was that wedding?
Let me tell you, Grandma is shocked. But anyway, her kind of reaction was, what is it about you that you've survived? You know what I mean? And so I always think I don't regret or lament or wallow in things that have happened in my life because I wouldn't be the tough bitch that I am now.
Right.
Had I not been through things. So upside downside, right? Imagine the nice fucking person I could be.
I think she's in there somewhere.
Imagine how delightful I could be, but you know what I mean? I'm looking down the barrel of 40 going, there ain't shit, you know what I mean? There ain't shit that I can't do, you know what I mean? I now have a history of survival and a confidence that I truly don't believe in anything that I can't do if I want to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's upside downside. Should a lot of things have happened to me in my life? Nope. Sure shouldn't have.
But it made you who you are.
Yeah, but it made me who I am.
Right.
And
which may not always be nice.
No, but for some other people, and I'm sorry to jump in on this, but
I'm going to jump in next.
Because
get in line.
The thing is that when you have your reaction to things is brilliant for you, right? And so if we borrow the story that you told with this gal, her reaction was much different, perhaps, just the little snippet that we have.
She might also be a tough, capable bitch.
Absolutely.
And have just been lamenting and thinking on her life like all of us have been this week and going, here's some key instances and maybe it's time to say something.
Right.
No,
and
wake some people up.
My other point was just to borrow that to simply say, if in fact she isn't this tough bitch because of these different things, that doesn't make one any better than the other.
No,
by any means. And it doesn't mean that someone's soft, right? That they're not able to pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Fucking pansies.
Pansy. It means
we're not all that resilient.
It means that she was just hurt differently and affected differently and had different tools maybe to handle those things.
And I don't mean we are all not that resilient. The royal we is not all that resilient.
Absolutely.
So, 2 things I learned from therapies. The first one is always perception is always reality. You just have to go with it. If someone says you hurt my feelings, you can do nothing about that. Nothing you said, your intention can remain pure, and I was just trying to have a little fun. I really thought we were going there, but you perceived hurt feelings. We have to own it together and try not to take that tack again.
Right.
That the next time I go smart-ass jokey with you, maybe I won't go that way. Maybe that's something that hit a button that I didn't know was there. And everybody's done
Everybody's
it.
got something.
Everybody's pushed a button accidentally that you're like,
sure.
I've lashed out at people and found out oh my God, I did not mean to hurt your feelings that way. I was just trying to tell you to fuck off for a couple of minutes, but I love you.
Right.
Where everyone's you're like, oh my God, I hurt his feelings. Sure, but guess what? I'm going to be over it tomorrow. And so back to both points. The second round of therapy was victim v survivor.
Sure.
you can be a victim of what happened to you. I'm looking at you like I'm doing some kind of counseling, and I'm not. It's just you're just happen to be sitting there. You can be.
He looks very reassured, though.
But no, you can look at what's happened to you in your past, and you can make your decisions about where you want to go as a person, and you can be the victim of those things, or, as a brilliant therapist said to me once, or you can be the survivor of those things and make your choices about how you're going to live your life from now on, and how you're going to interact with people, and how you're going to handle relationships, because you survive those things. So you have to choose at some point. I'm very old, so I have...
Stop it.
No, but seriously, at 50, if you haven't...
He's halfway home.
Right. But if Donald Trump at 70 hasn't decided who he's going to be yet,
Sure.
guess what? This
Sure.
is who he's going to be.
Sure.
So at 50 or earlier, when I went through these things and dealt with these things, that was the message. Like, okay, I survived this, and what can I learn from it? I'm going to learn to not maybe do these kind of behaviors, because you know what? They're pretty much the victim card playing forward. I'm going to say I survived that. I learned from it. I'm going to try and act a little bit differently over here. And if I'm an asshole, I'm going to say I'm the asshole.
Right.
Well, and
if I said something and you took it as I'm an asshole, I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry that you felt that way, but honest to God, that's not where I was
Not
going.
your intention,
I
right.
really was trying to...
And the idea with what
And especially
Clayton's
all
saying.
of us use humor as a defense.
Oh,
Like, I mean, there is not one of us
absolutely.
at the table that doesn't have that as
No,
the
how do you
first
think we got here?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're all
Five-
very defensive.
5
Right.
years strong, we're still here,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that's all we've used.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
And it's a defense mechanism. and
It's
just
the
part of a
strongest
pre-
weapon in the arsenal,
Absolutely.
and you pull it out first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You pull it out
And
when
we
you're...
all and on. I don't really. I
Does
believe
it,
this.
Does
No,
that
no,
answer
no.
your question a little bit? Because that's what I was trying to go for.
I just don't think so.
Oh, that's
Go
what you're
on.
trying to go for.
No, I really was. But you were saying about the hypersensitivity is the difference between being a victim of something and being the survivor, and how you take things later in life of being like, oh, that guy's just a dick. Walk away. You know what I mean? Like if someone's kind of treating you shitty
Right,
and you're
but-
not in on the joke, then you're just like, you know what? I don't get your sense of humor. I'm just gonna go over here.
Right.
I'm not gonna harp on this.
But you can't always scream out that somebody did you wrong because you don't like their sense of humor.
Sure.
Or you.
Oh
or
no!
you can't.
Exactly.
But-
It's
exactly.
like going to a comedian.
But and again, I'm not saying
Turn
I'm
off
not
the record,
diminishing.
press pause,
I'm
or turn
not
the radio
dismissing
off.
what this lady sent you.
Oh no!
But perception, right? If she felt it, I get it. But I oftentimes I think people call out other people just because they are not. And this is going to sound totally wrong. They're not strong enough to take it, and they're just like they think they're a victim of everything.
Oh, I think it was a response to me being mouthy about why do people do this, that she had a story about me. I think her response was,
Look,
you're
listen,
living
asshole.
off at this, where I, as a person, have evolved to where, like, I don't think I treat people, like, I don't have this hypersexualized...
10-year-old you is a whole hell of a lot different than 50-year-old.
Probably
you.
15.
Not any different in volume.
Oh,
No.
Both of them loud as fuck.
Both. But
Fair.
no, I honestly
Yeah.
don't believe that any of us in this room right now, I don't think we would be friends at all if it wasn't for the comedy and the smart act, because I think we're drawn to that.
Oh, it's
completely.
it's a survival technique.
Right.
It's, I mean, it's
the first time you were an asshole to me at BS West, like, I like her.
Right. No, honest to God, I'll be like, I can't stand her, and then she told me to fuck off, and oh my God, I love her.
You know, if you read from the good book, in the chapter, in the chapter
Which book are you talking about?
of Destiny's Child,
Why
it
do
reads-
bad things happen to
it
good
reads,
people?
and I quote, "I'm a survivor. What? I'm not gonna give up. What? I'm not gonna stop.
What?
What? I'm gonna work harder. What?
What?
I'll continue on to the next chapter. I'm gonna make it. What? I will survive. What? Keep on surviving.
It's all about I will survive.
And here ended
No, it really is.
the lesson.
Yes.
So go see Battle of the Sexes, because honest to God,
Oh
this my
God,
topic is
that's
segued
Good segue.
absolutely
I do want to see that movie.
perfectly, and you found out that, oh my God, Howard Cosell was a dick.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Riggs was an asshole, but Howard Cosell...
Who plays Howard?
No one. They let Howard Cosell be
Oh,
Howard.
I love
both
it.
Both
Because-
fantastic.
And I, honest to God, think it was a
smart.
conscious choice to be like, people will think it's some kind of a political game if we have an actor say these words.
Sure.
So Howard Cosell speaks as Howard Cosell, and you like,
Wow.
you inwardly cringe.
Wow, I've got to see this.
It's
That's
a
awesome.
horrors. but a very empowering story, and a story about equality and women and what she was fighting for.
Have you ever seen like documentaries on Billie Jean King?
No.
Amazing. Like,
and
for real. Like,
I've
things
always
that
liked
I
her.
did- And ditto, I did not realize.
And there were
how-
parts of that I remembered. There were very specific parts of that night that I
really pretty
remembered.
cool.
One of them was the sugar daddy jacket and the sugar daddy sucker. And I remember that because I had a crush on Chris Everett.
Navratilova.
No, I had a crush on Chris Everett. And I kept wondering,
yes.
where is Chris Everett in the story?
Sure.
And she was there. She was around. Her game got better a little bit later. She was like she was like a couple of years later. But it's terrific and a really terrifically made movie that has something to say
I'm loving
about
that Emma Stone.
Oh.
And I heard brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. And she could either play the little boy from HR Puffin stuff or Billie Jean King, because it turns out
oh my God,
they're the same person. They have never been photographed together, people.
Or Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, no, that's blonde hair.
Oh, good call.
Different
That's
color
true.
wig.
That's
I'm
true.
just saying, I'm going to Carney Wilson and Reba McEntire this bitch, because they're the same fucking person. And then on the Netflix,
God. Yeah.
a show called Mindhunter. It is not exciting. It is not a serial killer drama.
Okay.
It is very fact-based. It's based on the true story novel of the heads of the man that was the head of the behavioral science building of the FBI, and his associate, student, protege, whatever you want to call him, and how they developed tracking serial killers. It's not an exciting show. It's very cerebral. It's very about how they work. Oh my God. And if you feel like you're watching The Silence of the Lambs, guess what? This book came out the same time that Richard Harris, not Richard Harris, he was Camelot, whatever the guy's name that wrote the Silence of the Lambs book. He wrote the books when the books came out, and he based Jack Crawford from Hannibal on the guy that wrote this book. So that's why it feels so familiar. And it's all about UVA, which is
Thomas Harris.
It's where we get Clarice went to UVA. It's where the Charlottesville, it's where we just had the protests. It's all about that. The whole story takes place. It's very current. It's all about empathy, feeling for people, seeing inside their story.
So I wasn't listening. Back up and tell me what this is that we're talking
about. It's called
about.
Mindhunter. It's on Netflix, and it's based on the nonfiction book that the former behavioral science part of the FBI, he's Jack Crawford from the Silence of the Lambs movies, and his protege, student, assistant, whatever you want to call him, how they discovered how to catch people using empathy and how you use thinking in terms of the person you're trying to catch, how you get there, and how they learned about modern crime in a society that's falling apart. So will its criminals. They won't make sense.
Okay.
It's not lust
And it's
crimes.
Jonathan Groff?
And it's Jonathan Groff. It's a win.
is
But
happening
it's
in my
very
life?
cerebral, and you will love it because you love true stories and true crimes.
I'm going to give you an example of how that works. I really feel bad for what you're going through, but if you have sex with me, you'll feel better.
I gotta go.
I'm going to throw up. What just
I
happened?
almost hit you just now.
I want to show you how empathy works.
So I would just like to address Anant's question,
that
if
was
I
a
may.
lot.
Can you do
before-
it quickly?
Yes. Yes, if you feel you need some kind of therapy or someone to talk to, start whatever level you want to,
Okay.
whether it's the clergy, whatever religion you're in, whatever people are around you, guidance counselors at
Wherever
schools.
you're safe
Wherever
to talk
you're
to someone.
safe to talk to
Yep.
someone, start small and work your way up and find someone to talk to, because it will help you, and eventually
And you're not weak.
good people lead to good, and it's
No.
never about weakness.
No.
It's about just trying to find out why you work like you work.
Admitting that you need to go and see someone is strength.
And if all else fails, what you can do
Absolutely.
is you can join us again next week and get. If this isn't therapy for free, I don't know what else is. For
Yeah, but
crying
at
out
what
loud!
price do
Either
they
that or the
pay?
reason you need therapy. One or the other.
As we wrap up tonight's show, let's leave you with this parting thought. We will see you next Tuesday.
Look to the camera.
Is it done? Did I do it? Did I win?
You did it! You're done! You won!
I won?
You won!